Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Age of Sigmar Mondays. Very exciting day. I'm joined by Nathan Prescott. Hey, Nathan, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Oh, really happy today. More on that as to why in a moment. James, the owner of Games Workshop Earth 2, and a gorgeous fella. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. And we're also with Dan, the only man who I think can pull off a denim shirt in 2021.
That's because I am in Canada, and the Canadian tuxedo is triple denim.
Quadruple denim.
It's and when I get a pair of denim shoes, there'll be denim shoes. We'll go denim pants, denim shirt, denim vest, denim blazer, denim shoes. That's going to be my new tournament attire as soon as, like Australia, we are allowed to play War Dollies face to face again.
Oh, I mean, I can't wait for that as well. One day, one magical day, I'm going to be doing that, but shan't be this day. I want to just thank everyone for joining us live today. We unfortunately have to pivot. We were going to be talking about OCR Bone Reapers, War Scroll Battalions, but I'm going to ask my show host and co-host how they felt about the announcements from the weekend and some of the cool stuff, see what they think about that. And then, very excitedly, as you guys know, for the past 2 months, I would do the day show, and before the evening shows, I would go to Games Workshop and I would hold my sign. You guys have known about it. I didn't want to really publicise it much until yesterday, so now everyone knows that I've been publicising it. So I've just got back, freezing it was today, been snowing in Nottingham. Haven't had time yet to digest any of the points or any of the changes in the Winter FAQ, which is out today, boys. I don't know if you know. Very excited about that.
What?
Yeah, it's out.
Did your
Protesting
sign
works.
make a change? You know what? The people heard and the masses seized the means of FAQ production, and we have one. We have one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's protest the voices of the unheard. Yeah, and that's what we were. So thankfully we got it. We got it, boys. And so very excited to read through the FAQ changes and see what's happened. Oh, it's going to be thrilling. Mam Dad, thank you for donating. £8 to the show. Oh, £10 to the show. And also thank you to Crispin Walker Buckton for joining Patreon. Oh my God, everything's gone wild. Donaldinho, thanks very much for resubscribing. And you're all brilliant. And Coco Chinese. Also, thank you very much. One for you, Dan, I think, in that situation. Probably subscribing for you. So yeah, very excited. Data-driven. I heard that it's going to be a data-driven FAQ. Someone messaged me, Rob, it's all data-driven. I was like, fucking, rolled up my sleeves. I'm excited. But before we do that, how are my co-hosts? Nathan Prescott, how's the Mega Gargant painting coming?
It's coming along. Can't see him because my background does things. But yeah, still working on the skin. I reckon the skin is probably 82.3% done, so that means in all the Gargant is probably in the region of 21.6% done, I reckon. So yeah, because he's mostly skin, so yeah.
That's what I like about Age of Sigmar players, especially Destruction players, generally data-driven. Talking about DKHM in the chat, War Games. So that's our Spanish Age of Sigmar bros. They've been collecting a lot of Age of Sigmar stats via, I think maybe via TTS mainly. But big shout out to those guys. Those guys are great, and we've featured it on the show before. James, how are you? Are you well?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too shabby. Weeks plodded along. I've painted almost 1,000 points of Lord of the Rings Rohirrim in a week and a half.
That's pretty impressive.
It's not that many models, in all honesty, but they're almost done. So by the time lockdown is over in 2024, I'll have more armies than I know what to do with.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that will be fun. That's going to be loads. Dan, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Good. I got really excited because it was supposed to snow here in Vancouver, and then it just rained. So I went to the snow, and as an Australian who hasn't been to like the one snow-capped mountain that we have in Australia, it was remarkable. I was very cold and wet, and I fell down a lot. I also discovered many things about snow, which is that there's ice on the ground and you shouldn't run on that, or everyone will laugh at you as the tourist. So that was great. As the god of denim, I've been painting some denim, and that's also been fun.
That'll be easy.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not that great, but it's very satisfying. And I'm really excited to sink my teeth into these FAQs. I've been,
okay.
obviously just I'm hungry like the wolf because I haven't been able to play a crazy amount of face-to-face War Dollies, but what I have been able to do is just consume it. And so what this seems like, we've been, haven't really had a look at it yet, and all I want is to just sink my teeth into this big juicy steak that's going to be these FAQs today.
Oh, very exciting times. Big shout out to everyone in the chat for joining us. So I don't know what you guys want to do. I don't know if you want to do the FAQ first, because I think a lot of people here obviously really excited to talk it all through, or do you want to, I want to know, because I really want to know how you guys feel about all the announcements from the weekend. Maybe we should just keep that to the end. Do you guys want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know everyone. Oh, maybe no. Do you know what? Let's just do it. I want to know how you guys feel about it. Nathan, all the stuff from the weekend. New Daughters of Cain Battletome. How did you feel about that? Did you like the vampire stuff? Was there anything that really? What was your kind of big winners and losers from the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Daughters of Cain stuff. That's cool. For them, they get the inner spells now, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
cool. They actually look pretty good. I reckon 2 of them at least look quite nice. I like the snake and the knives. The heart thing looks a bit like everybody else's heart thing, but otherwise, yeah. Cool. The vampires look really good, and that Warhammer Quest stuff looks great. So yeah. Seeing as I've been playing Zombicide, that looks like it'd be a nice one, similar sort of thing.
I feel it looks very zombies. It doesn't look very Zombicide. Sorry, it looks really, really good. The model's obviously brilliant. But what I mean is, it feels like it's trying to tap into that market, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's another Warhammer Quest thing, so it'd be cool. Yeah, that's it. I mean, no destruction stuff, so boo, and that's about it, really.
They didn't release that new
say.
Gobapalooza model.
No, just some funny-looking elf things. In fact, the flying fox looks cool. Very manga type stuff. But other than that,
because you're quite into anime and manga, right? I thought you would really like it. Can I just say huge thank you to Grim Slacker for donating 34 quid to the show, taking us up to 69.69% on our bar.
I love that there was clearly a lot of math involved in making sure that happened.
Huge amount of math.
And just absolutely threaded the needle. Like, when you've got like one, I don't know, bow-armed model from the other side of the board, and you're like, okay, so he's firing from here. My opponent's in cover, and I'm at -1 to hit. Bugger it, may as well give it a shot anyway, and just goes boom, rolls the 6, and it's like mortal wound. You're like, yes, he's like Vasily Zaitsev from Enemy at the Gates, reference to a movie from a very long time ago.
Great movie though.
That's what he just nailed. So snaps for the math and nailing that shot from a million miles away.
Hold on, is there a highlighted message? We've got a highlighted message with it. The £34 is for the winter FAQ, and you stand in front of the building with your sign. Thank you so much, Grim Slacker. It's been so cold. I had to buy a thermos over Christmas. It was so cold. You guys are brilliant. Yeah, Rachel Wise is also in that, and she's fit. Let's talk about that. James, did you anything that you liked from the weekend? All of the announcements.
Super excited for Warhammer Quest. I think I've banged on about it before. Big fan of the original one. Big fan of Hammerhole. Big fan of Silver Tower. Even to the point where I own the 40k one, which is also really good. And I think like owning that 40k one, so Blackstone Fortress, like is a better version of the old Sigmar ones because they've just worked on it. So I'm really excited to see what they do with that. And that model is sexy. That Witch Hunter all over that boy. And kind of excited for the Lumineth. However, it is annoying as someone that originally played Stormcast, that I originally brought a book and 6 months later they gave me another book. And I hate carrying 2 books.
What are you like? Are you the opposite of a boy trying to date a girl in the 50s? Are you like, I won't carry your books. I'll carry one book.
I don't want to carry no book. I just think like when you go to an event, like I don't want to be like, oh, I need 1 book for 1 unit and 1 book for another unit. And even ebooks, it's annoying. I have to keep swapping ebook. So
yeah, I forgot how you two might feel about the fact that you're going to be double book bros for your Lumineth. Yeah, that's a Nath. That's a real bottom rung issue, isn't it? Not affecting us boys at the top rung.
No, those fucking bottom feeders can enjoy them books. Knock yourself out, lads.
My 2021 army
I
is
hope they
Skaven,
put
whatever.
Lumineth rules in all of the Broken Realm books. So you have to-
One in each book.
yeah, us destruction dudes are having a great time because we're in none of the books.
Oh God Almighty. First of all, though, something I completely forgot, and I do apologize because I am a day behind here compared to my expatriates, my compatriots in Australia. It is Australia Day, which means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and obviously it's a really challenging time for some people. It's a really wonderful time for others. But at the end of the day, right here on the stream, we could all just come together and appreciate that beer is good. And for me, that's what I like to celebrate on Australia Day, the fact that we have thick, horrifying accents and ready access to booze. So while I will probably never cheers the Prime Minister of our country, I will cheers the fact that we live in the land down under, down obviously being the direction that beer goes, and under is where I will sleep after drinking far too much beer under the table. So cheers however you feel about the particular day. Crack yourself a beer and ignore it, or crack yourself a beer and get out in the sunshine. If you're in Vancouver, just continue to be wet and slightly damp at all times.
Mm-hmm. And any opportunity to kick Scott Morrison in the balls, that's the right guy, right? That's the guy we kick him. Or egg him. Or egg him.
If you're looking for a good laugh, go online and find there's a Australian Lamb puts out an ad every year, and they're hilarious. And this year's ad is all about Australia coming back together after being separated. It's hilarious. There's like a dude, they punch through a hole in a wall in a dude in budgie smugglers. It's amazing. But at the very end of the ad, they just take the biggest shot at him, and it is hilarious. And the fact that our Prime Minister is now just a punching bag for everyone, like Lamb. It's like, oh, who should take a shot at the Prime Minister? Probably blokes selling chops. They should probably take a shot
Takes
at
everyone. Listen, we're all in this together. It's very much like the community watching us now and us four. We're all in this together. When you're part of a community, be that a nation or be that a gaming community like we are, you've got to all pull together, and you got to egg the right people and take the right shots in the right places, Dan. That's what I've always felt. That's what I've always felt.
Speaking about egging people when they deserve it, I have some feelings about the previews that were announced.
Oh,
and like James, I don't love being double booked, but I don't mind it. I don't mind being double booked when it's for a good cause. And I was like, I've spent the last kind of little while since it was announced trying to put my finger on the pulse of what's making me grumpy. Because I'm not angry. I'm not an angry person, except for that episode about Liberators. So I'm not angry. I was like, I'm miffed because I saw the models and I was like, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Like, just freaking hook them up. Let's do this. I'll have a collapsed vein for this bad boy. And then I started to get frustrated and I was like, why am I frustrated? And then I saw someone who posted something that really jumped out at me. And I was like, that's exactly why I'm shitty. Mm-hmm. With Marathi, with all of these other things or other armies that are getting units, they've been out for a little while. And so this unit is something fresh and awesome added to it. Now, if you invested less than, it's less than 6 months ago, correct? Lumineth came out less than half a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And personally, armies that I play, I like having the limited edition, like the special edition book. I really like the covers. I think they're beautiful. They're good. It's like, for me, I enjoy it. I bought that. That box is still on some shelves, and now there's a new book with new models in it. There's not even 6 months between these books. If there was a bit longer, that'd be fine. But you can't farm out a limited edition book, be like, Lumineth Realm Lords, this is get everything you need. And then 6 months later be like, oh, also, update. So that's the thing that really gets me. If potentially these units, because these units were clearly written when this book was released, right? Like the production cycle, these units existed. If it was like some of the old school 40K codexes and whatnot, or even books we've seen where they're released with rules for models that haven't been released yet, and those models don't get released till down the track, if that had been announced, different story. Like, I would have been like, okay, awesome. Like, I totally get it. And I dig on that. But it just really disappoints me. I feel really deflated when it's like, oh, well, you could have had this book then, and you went out of your way to get all the stuff and have all the fun, awesome stuff. And now, surprise, re-release half a year later. I just, it feels like DLC to something I only got half a year ago.
Well,
Everything
there's quite a few things to unpack there I'd really like to express. I just want to thank a couple of people. Thank you to KR Toomer and Dinoc. We've got a bit of a celebrity in the chat. Anyone who plays TTS at all, if you've ever played on the Dinoc Age of Sigmar table, he's in the chat. And he just subscribed. You are a legend. So if we get some claps for him in the chat, please, because he's brilliant. Thank you for Donaldinho for donating £1 just to ruin the percentage of our bar. Very classic, Donal. Thank you to Gersey, Helgamar, and Tom Whitbrook also for subscribing, and Alex Attempts Tabletops for donating some bits. So a couple of things about your point, Dan. So, me and Dayton went into some big detail about this yesterday, and there's really kind of two schools of thought on it. Number one, had they released, I think we're looking at 10 to 11 new units for the Lumineth. So, had they released all of those units at the same time as the original release, would you have found that overwhelming? James, same question obviously to you. Or does this give you a quite immediate update for your army, which is quite nice, that you can get into if you want to? What do you feel... Do you feel more hard done by the fact you didn't get the choice at the start and it was a lot of units, or do you feel happy that you're just getting some new stuff in addition? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Sorry, so I don't get it. So if I'm new to the hobby, so like I've just brought a Skaven army, recently, like that's a new army for me, but it's an old army via Warhammer terms. So I can probably buy 60 units for that book. I mean, that might be an exaggeration, but there's a lot. Like, I don't think it matters. If someone, I'd rather them come out on a table and go, here's your book, here's 34 units, make a list. Whereas, actually, I was quite lucky because I haven't brought a huge amount of Lumineth because lockdown happened and they split it. So I think if they'd have done what they would do normally and gone, here's day one, here's a book, here's all the models, have a great day, I'd probably have brought an army's worth because I had to buy like a closed box for 80 quid or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I had like 5 months between box and more models. I didn't really do anything. Like some came out. I brought some archers. I brought a Calathai. I brought a Teclis. But I brought like the minimum I wanted that I knew was a core of an army. I feel like if it had been a normal year and I'd really wanted to have played them, although that was never my 2020 plan, whatever, like the people that wanted to do 80 archers have probably gone out and brought 80 archers.
Yeah.
Whether we think that's a fun list, an engaging list, whatever, that's what they wanted to play. They've gone out and they've brought 80 archers. I think what's worse is now, and ignoring the fact that that could be slightly changed by an FAQ or an errata, let's say those kangaroo riders that are coming out are all archers with the same stat line. They get 3 shots each and they're all just better.
Yeah, I mean...
You basically invalidate someone's army.
Yeah, Dan, there's a point in the chat that you're agreeing with, so do you want to make that as well before I kind of like follow up with my thoughts?
Yeah, it kind of sits in two things. One, with what James is saying there, it really annoys me because it comes out, you buy your army, and then more stuff comes out that you want to buy for your army. So it's not like you could have waited. It's not like we knew it was coming and you slowly built it. We didn't know. So we built armies, we spent money, all that jazz, and it's messed up. And as Gnomesbane said, this is the big one for me. With a new book coming out this fast, like within 6 months, and let's remember, the Lumineth were delayed by a month or two, so potentially there might have been like 8 months, 6 to 8 months between them. I don't even think there would have been a year from where it was delayed from. But anyway, even if that's the case, right, it means that now whenever something new comes out, if I get excited, I'm going to wait until at least like 6 months, a year afterwards to buy and build anything for that army. Because why the hell would I if now I've been taught that it won't be complete at the time when it's released? And that for me is I love getting frothy and hyped up about new stuff. It's my jams. My bank account is just like, please stop beating me, daddy. And I'm like, you'll take it and you'll like it. But now I'm like, I literally have to stop myself getting excited so that I don't want those things because I can't. And that's actually a little bit of a letdown, to be honest. There is a piece of me that's really excited to get more for an army that I'm really excited to build and play. But there's a bigger part that just makes me feel like, oh, okay, it's like kind of like Star Wars Battlefront 2 when it first released. And it's like, hey, if you want to play this game, you need to spend more money after you've already spent money to continue playing this game.
Yeah. I mean, the conversation about DLC is really important. Nathan, as a Git player, listening to two Elf players bitch that they're getting more models and rules, what are your thoughts?
Whoa, Gits have loads of models.
Yeah, we got.
Hold on, you've had your say, bottom row. Yeah, let Nathan talk. Go on. Yeah, what's up, Nathan?
I don't know what they're complaining about. We've got loads of models, and now they're just catching up. Just yeah, no, it's got to be shit if they think that they couldn't have handled all their models. I know, well, they are Elf players. Maybe they couldn't have handled more than 3 models at a time. So that's it.
Yeah, it's
They
true.
are only Elf players.
They are
Whereas
only
Gits
Elf players. It's the best,
Gits
the
players
best
get
description I've
handled.
ever heard.
50 models a go. It's fine.
I think just because I've seen it in the chat, sorry, so Hello Lex has put it in. It is interesting. So he said it's interesting that the second Broken Realms book is going to an army that's 6 months old, and I'm going to add to that hasn't actually really been played on a physical tabletop due to COVID, and there are so many armies that need an update that are just ignored from that book. Like that.
Don't worry
book,
though, James. I know. I hear what you're saying. Now, listen. That's why they did the FAQ, right? That's why I'm so
true.
excited. That's why I'm thrilled. Yeah, because they've obviously done the FAQ. Did you see? I can't wait. I'm going to explain what they did in the 40k FAQ to Nathan in a moment because that's hype. We'll talk more about that later because I think there's a really good conversation about planned obsolescence, which is obviously key in their DLC, kind of like salesmanship ultimately. They're not the best company or really for like pitching. I think the kind of key takeaway I would argue, and I think it was said best by someone in the chat. I'm going to miss it. But my point is, I think one of the most exciting things it would be for us to have a roadmap. Like we're all like set that we know Age of Sigmar 3 is coming. Like we know the plan now. We get some campaign books. We get a new edition. Like we get it. Yeah, this is your thing. We understand. So just give us a roadmap, yeah, and we'd be like jamming, I think. You know, like if you knew, like to Dan's point, if you knew your Lumineth were coming out now, but you're also in a year's time getting some new Lumineth, let's say, you'd be like jazzy. Like with the vampires coming out, like I'm excited for those, like really excited. That might be like an army that I want to really, really get into, like everyone on Earth. Yeah, so but like you know, do you buy them and like you flesh out your 2,000 points with some units you're not too sure about? But know that in a year's time there's going to be more. Just a roadmap would be brilliant. I don't think it would hurt their sales at all. I think it would just let us make better informed decisions, right? Which they're not.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
I think the other thing is, isn't it? So, like, if they gave us a roadmap, so let's say we had a Lumineth Lords roadmap, and they said, ignore COVID, like, let's just take that off the fucking table for now. And they say, cool, Lumineth Realm Lord, the fancy box with the fancy book comes out, and it's coming out in September this year. And then there's 6 months, and we're releasing almost like an add-on book, like an expansion for a computer game. 6 months on, and a bunch more models. Even if you waited for release 2, you'd still end up buying both books, and you'd still just end up buying the models you want. But at least they'd have been honest from the start.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
And I think that's the difference, right? There's almost, I think the one, and I try not to be negative because I still love Hobby and the Hobby, but I think the worst thing for me for Games Workshop is I think one of the things that they do time and time again is make a mistake like that, but know that people will buy it anyway.
Okay, fair points. Does anyone think they've got anything to add to this before we move on?
Give us more dwarves. Like,
oh my god, give us more dwarves.
I think that's the thing. I dabbled in elves. I dipped a toe in to check the temperature, and I was like, "Ooh, comfortable. I can sleek my my very soft body into this." And I'm converting them up because I was like, "Well, if they're going to be an elf, it's going to be a dead elf. It'll make me feel really good. I'll have a fun converted army because I love converting armies." Mm-hmm. But this whole time, I'm like, "You know what would be great? Just more dwarves." Yeah, and in the time that I have dabbled in elves, I have seen like 2 releases for that same elf army, but not a single new dwarf that wasn't a Christmas dude with no rules. Give us new dwarves.
Yeah, and you're right. Give us more Chaos Dwarves. You've never said the right thing.
No.
Yes.
Never.
Give
Never
us
did
more
that.
Chaos Dwarves. Yes.
And
so
yes,
excited.
the big goldfish in the chat. I do
Dead.
regret it. You're 100% right. I never should have switched to elves. Moved to elves and they've
Sure.
already betrayed me.
But
Already
they are
betrayed
your people now. They're Australian.
your
we all
people.
know it. They are your people.
They're not my people.
Right. So
Australians.
I think we could unpack
Sweaty
some
and
more of that.
bearded.
More of that later. Let's get on with the FAQ because I've been thrilled. So if you guys have never listened to any of our like winter FAQ reviews or even GHB reviews, we always have like a very set in stone system. Couple of things that you always need to be aware of. Number one, there's the external balance. Always important. Yeah, so that is where armies are good and armies are bad and where they generally fit in like a like a data-driven set of information, ultimately. Like LOV would do the stats. I can't think of many other places where you would see sort of like a win rate, you could say, of like armies that were good or bad. Something like that that's the external balance and how armies play against each other. And then you've got the internal balance, right, where you've got units that you don't see very much because they're not as good. Let's say, for instance, Nathan, I apologize, a Ragnarok with Spider Flinger, yeah, versus you would see
fling units of spiders.
Yeah, versus you would see Trogs because they're brilliant, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're all great.
They're all great.
I don't understand the question.
So this is
No,
those are the
I don't think I've seen a Ragnarok with Flinger.
in your life.
Flinging stuff. No, never. I don't think I ever have.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my point, right? So you have the internal balance where some stuff is like a good example would be the Marathi book for the Idneth Deepkin. They changed the internal balance of the book and just made loads of stuff stronger, and then they just ruined the external balance of the game by existing. That kind of like situation ultimately. But like they made the army stronger, and so when we review the FAQ and what they've done, we need to kind of, as we go through each army and the points changes and rules changes and everything that's happened, we're going to have to look at those, right? Obviously, going into this FAQ, one of those kind of like key elements that we need to discuss beforehand is why they do it. I think that's one of the things some people don't really like know why they do them, like with the GHB points changes and generally all of the FAQs and everything else. James, have you got any thoughts on like why they actually do it?
To hot patch the game, hot fix the game.
And it relates to like computer games, right? Like you've got a lot of experience in this that you can talk about.
I think, yeah. So I think like the concept is, isn't it? So like, and I know they shouldn't, but I do think that's impossible. So like they write a new book, and you almost write it. There is a lot of War Scrolls armies and army abilities within Age of Sigmar. So however you write a book. So if we say they're going to narratively write a book, let's have a laugh.
Yeah.
And they narratively write a book so that it works. So like, however that works, and then you bring it into the game and you realize that actually the Marauder's charge bonus interacts really well, but actually you didn't want to guarantee them a charge when they come in Ravagers on a board edge because you're almost guaranteeing it. So I think like what they then want to do is go, oh, actually that's not how we meant that for that to work, so let's just patch that. In a computer game it's really easy. Because obviously they just throw some files into your machine. It's also
easy in a tabletop game. You've got to sit down for an afternoon at a computer, but that's a by the by. Yeah.
Whereas here, someone's got to like write a thing and send it out, and we all have to wait for it and download it
and read it
and
read it. Fucking carrier pigeons. Takes a long time to get everywhere.
Yeah, and the other thing is that they also just fire a lot of it by trebuchet to each new continent.
Scattergun approach.
Yeah.
Can I just thank MJ Pegasus for donating 5 gift subscriptions in the chat. Big love to everyone who is a subscriber or does subscribe to the show.
Delicious winged horse meat. Can I just touch on another little thing there as well, which is the one that I think gets missed a lot. It's obviously about hot fixing, but for me it's also about keeping it fresh. Like every time there's a new edition and there's big changes, people get really shitty because they're like, oh, I really liked this way, I really like that way. And I get that, but what you don't realize is if they didn't change that, in 6 months' time you'd be bored because you would have been playing the exact same game for the last X amount of years. You know it down to a fine art. You know your army to a T. Nothing changes. You play the same game every time you get bored, which is, and I loved Warhammer Fantasy, but that's what happened with Warhammer Fantasy. It was the same game for a very, very, very long time between editions. Then editions would change and the game would change. But and so that's also what an FAQ does. It keeps the excitement alive. It keeps the build up there. It changes things so that you have to change with it.
Now, obviously, the concept that like needing to do this in a time when obviously not many people can game. A good example would obviously be the fact that there's not many people other than Australia and New Zealand who can really game. We'll obviously ignore America. They can but shouldn't. Is kind of key points. And I'm not sure about the ice giants who live in Antarctica. If you haven't listened to the show much, that makes loads of sense to the regulars, but not many other people.
Doesn't make sense to anybody, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. So there's an argument that maybe you wouldn't even do much really with the FAQ in that environment. However, Nathan, I don't know if you've caught up or stayed up to date with the changes to the 40k game that they obviously did. So they also have their winter FAQ as well. So obviously our sister game in the 40k community, they've also had an update. I don't know if you saw how large an update that was.
No, I didn't even. When was it? Recently?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
So it must have been, yeah.
Yeah, so they changed. So previously, when you rolled off to see who went first, because that's how they did it, you could choose whether or not you went first. Massive change. They changed it to you just went first. You didn't have a choice. And then also the way that they score their objectives is you score it in equivalent for Age of Sigmar terms. You score it in your next hero phase, if that makes sense. So you still have to be holding the objective in the next hero phase. So some pretty core fundamental changes, and obviously
that's big changes for an FAQ, isn't it? It's not just changing points and correcting a few word thingies that are spelt wrong or they've just forgotten to do things. It's like fundamentally changing the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. And based on not tons of data anyway, it's right in saying that 40k is a bigger game than Age of Sigmar, but Age of Sigmar is a massive game. It's huge, and it's grown from strength to strength. From when it first came out, obviously, with no points and being an absolute, hilarious shit show, it's turned into this all-conquering game, which I think loads of us love. I think I missed out. Y3 there in the chat just said that in Norway they've had multiple game tournaments over the past year. So lots has really happened since the GHB for us to bunker down. There's been lots of games, tournaments, for Age of Sigmar. And there's also obviously been loads of TTS tournaments as well. Now, obviously, Games Workshop are clearly very aware of those tournaments because, their employees and also playtesters play in them. So, and I imagine that's where they're also playtesting future editions. So they're very aware of it, which is nice. And I'm glad that's there. So, and I'm glad it's there for everyone. Owen's obviously been organising all these great events. Pask, all the guys, legend. Garrett.
So excited for the next Hammer Time.
Yeah, loads. So there's just been there's been a lot of data for Age of Sigmar as well. Can I just say to RT Gamer USA, thanks for donating 10 gift subscriptions in the chat. Wow, that's amazing. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that loads. That's brilliant. That's awesome. Thanks, man.
I think no, Rob. I think it's correctly pronounced Rutgami Rusa. Rutgami Rusa. Let's just make sure that we get that correct. Yeah, Rutgami Rusa. That's we don't get names right in this show. Let's keep that, please, consistent.
Yeah, no, a massive thank you for that. That's so brilliant of you. That's awesome. Ryan in the house. Big shout out to Ryan. So, the point is, Nathan, they also did, obviously, a huge amount of FAQ changes, and they also did a huge amount of points changes. So when I saw that, Dan James, I was so excited for Age of Sigmar stuff, because in the article, they were like, we're updating Age of Sigmar in a couple of weeks. Don't forget, they said they're doing it in a couple of weeks, which means they'd already been working on it, and from the announcement of doing it, they still had 2 weeks. And I was like, wow, you guys have been working on this for ages, and then you've still got 2 more weeks on top. There's going to be a lot in here. There's going to be a lot to unpack, so I'm very excited. So I think the first thing we should probably ask Nathan, I can go with you. What did you think were the glaring changes that needed to happen? either in internal balance or external balance? Which armies did you think needed to be better? Which ones did you think needed to be like nerfed a little bit? What did you think?
Well, I mean, if they were going to nerf some, I guess you're going to be looking at armies like Seraphon. Seem to be running away with it a bit at the moment. Maybe do something about the shooting. I mean, you could bring Karajan Overlords back into line a little bit, possibly. It's very, they'd have to be gentle.
Why did you think that they were doing so good though? Like, what evidence?
What's that? Seraphon. Oh,
no, not Seraphon. Sorry, KO. Did you say KO?
Yeah, KO as well. Well, I mean, they took off running from the last time anyway. They were just like, and I mean, people have been doing well with them. There's still people been playing games and getting fucked up by dudes with guns and helicopters.
Yeah,
so,
there's this image. There's this image floating around on the internet somewhere. I don't know where it came from. Oh, it's like this golden black thing. It's all of these bars. It says tournament results since GHB 2020 release, Meta Watch. And it's, I just can't remember where I saw it. But it's got the list of like all of these results. And it's quite damning when you look at the top 3 or 4 versus the bottom 3 or 4. I swear to God, I only saw it very recently. I don't
think I've ever seen it.
Does anyone know where it came from?
I don't think it was accurate. Me and LOV stopped doing the stats, so who knows what the data even is anymore? Let's be honest.
Anyway, so I mean, ultimately, yeah, I might have just dreamed it. I ate a lot of cheese. I got a migraine, went to sleep, dreamed a stats bar. But anyway, if that was around, that would be a useful way to know, where you need to balance things, I think. Oh, gosh.
All right, so big hitters. Nathan felt Seraphon and KO needed looking at. I mean, obviously, Change Host and Zinch probably could do with like a think about at least. I mean, I was a little bit scared about Pink Horrors having a points change. It's always going to be a worry for me. Because I think that like the army plays very uniquely, and you could hurt it quite a lot. Obvious big losers: Nighthaunt, Beast of Chaos. They need some love, right? They need to come up.
Yeah, if you're looking at the other end, definitely Sylvaneth are in amongst that. Like you say, Nighthaunt, and the poor old Beast of Chaos. So yeah, and it's just. Even if you look inside books, there's units that you'll never see played, and you just want to see them played a bit more. The old, wood elves and things like that in the Cities of Sigmar. I don't know why.
Cities of Sigmar is a great example of one of the worst internal balance books in the game. To quote my friend Colonel Cabbage, at least with the Beast of Chaos book, everything's trash. Everything is chaff in the Beast of Chaos book.
Whoa.
No, everything is chaff. Trash was the wrong word, sorry. The quote is, everything's chaff. Like, that's the nice thing about the Beast of Chaos book.
Gorgon?
I apologise. I mean, the Gorgon is a good example of probably a unit that could drop 10 points for the rest of time every year.
Or maybe 40.
Or maybe 40.
Him and Ilariel, 3.
Or if it's the Jabba Scythe just dropped off of the table. Just take it to the edge, throw it.
Do they
so that
exist
I no longer
anymore?
You know how like Rule 34 is a thing, and we don't need to go into the specifics of it, but if you understand what I'm talking about, you understand what I'm saying. That means that somewhere on the internet there is an intimate photo of a Jabba Scythe, and I never want to know about it. Like the knowledge that somewhere exists horrifies me.
So yeah, I mean, there's definitely some armies that do need in this FAQ coming up, and I mean they've needed to for a long time. Beast of Chaos haven't had an update other than some points in GHB since 2019. I mean, some of the things that we could have asked for really could have been rules changes. Now, listen, I'm not saying this should be a case, but we could maybe look at that Marauder charge. It's pretty useful. Like, it's pretty too good, some would say.
No. It's fine.
No, that command ability on Fangs of Sotek maybe could be looked at. I'm just gonna call it and say maybe that. There's some things in there, James. I'm just saying. Like ultimately that some war score changes and some which come up and some which go down would be nice as well. Like it wouldn't be nice, like someone suggested, Rend on Warriors of Chaos. I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that would be nice.
I think almost the problem with like some of those is like that Marauders charge is disgusting, but if there was better things in the book, you'd see less Marauders. And that's the debate, isn't it? Like, whereas in the Seraphon book, it's like skinks are broke, everyone's going to take them. Salamanders are broke, everyone will say, oh, let's not use broke. Way too, so their internal parity is way too strong compared to the other units in that book.
Yeah. So, I mean, loads, like, there's loads of stuff, internal, external balance, which we could hopefully see. I think time to crack open the two, we've talked about it too much, time to crack it open. Let's probably talk, let's, James, can I kind of call out the armies that I want to see? Because I've been excited about this, been protesting for a long time. Do you mind if I kind of, like, jump around and ask for some stuff to see?
Sure.
Okay, right. Beast of Chaos, not doing really well. Could do with some points changes, maybe even a couple of War Scroll changes. Brad Glover, thanks for subscribing. So, walk me through. What Beast of Chaos changes did we see? Very excited about this.
The Beast of Chaos had its last update.
Yeah.
On the 16th of December.
Yeah.
2019.
No, hold on. No, that can't be right because it's FAQ today. It's sometimes the website takes a while to update.
That's 2 years ago. Yeah, refresh it.
Refresh it.
Let me refresh.
Refresh it. It does that sometimes.
It happened today. So
okay, let me try again.
Yep.
It's still December. Shall I open it in case they just haven't?
Yeah, open it just in case. Open
because
I mean it's been 2 years. It would be insane not to have done anything.
Oh, so they've got something in magenta.
Oh yeah.
On the errata dated 2019, but they might have missed that. They might have missed the date. They might have missed the date.
Okay. Now, actually, that's not bad news. You could kind of be disappointed about this, but it might mean we're getting a new battle tome for them.
It could. So we'll ignore them.
I mean, well, okay.
I don't want to... Go on, Dan.
One thing is, like, surely... That's just that's probably just a blip on the radar, you know, like they Beast of Chaos, just like their tournament standing right now, just fell off the edge of the table, slipped under the mat, and they got forgot. Because surely you wouldn't update something that only got an update in July of last year. Say the Lumineth Realm Lords, you wouldn't give them an errata or an update if you hadn't given one to like Beast of Chaos or like Sylvaneth, who probably desperately need it. So I'm guessing that's just it's an outlier on the data, right? Like
yeah. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, like because it's an older battle tome, so it's gonna get an update, like basically. So that's maybe why. Like sucks for a couple of. I mean, they've announced 3 battle tomes though. Well, not 3, but the Broken Realms, and then there's the Slanesh battle tome. And then there's the Daughters of Cain battle tome, and then there's it's not soon is kind of a drama. So I'm a bit disappointed with that, to be honest. Because okay, don't worry about that. On-call GM, thank you for subscribing. Loads of love. Also, he says don't forget to reset your cookies. Have you reset your cookies, James?
Let's do that. No, let's do that. No,
good idea.
Thank you.
Point.
Okay, all right. Other armies that weren't doing really well. Okay, good example. Sylvaneth. They had a book recently, but I think Games Workshop has to be aware that like they need a real big points update, or like maybe 10% taken off everything, maybe a couple of commandability. I mean, Alariel's War Scroll.
Free Alariel
for 0 points. We've been advocating for that for a while. I mean, you could even institute like Vince's and Tom's plan to make the Wildwood, so you can like summon from them, or they always count as whatever they said, something smart. So yeah. Like, what's the
Are you ready?
The crack?
You sat down.
Please. Yeah, huh?
Last updated 16th to the 12th.
Yeah.
2019.
What? No updates at all.
No.
2 years ago.
Just
2
for those who are playing at home. Sorry, just super quickly for those who are playing at home. That's the same date as the last update for the General's Handbook 2019.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's when Sylvaneth last saw any love.
Okay, all right. Actually, that's a good time to bring that up. Actually, Dan. Like, if we look at the GHB 2020, the one we just had, there weren't any real significant changes, were there? There was you can't have multiple DPRs, which we call damage prevention rolls, so disgusting resilience or those other sort of things. Just it's a quick way of describing them because they've all got different names. And then also they only changed the points up and down by little bits, didn't they? Like there wasn't really like an overarching kind of like it wasn't a big deal really. They kind of I don't want to say half-assed it. That's quite negative. And I'm 2021. I'm trying to really stay upbeat. But like Nathan, what did you think? Do you remember the GHB changes? What do you got any thoughts on it?
They were very restrained, weren't they? They didn't rock the boat. I mean, well, except for they rocked the carriage on boat a little bit, but other than that, yeah, pretty restrained.
Okay. Yeah, pretty restrained. So no Sylvaneth stuff at all, James.
No,
Are you sure?
I'm afraid not. I've even reset my cookies.
Oh, have you refreshed?
Yeah.
Have you
I'm
thrown your
just,
computer out of the window?
I'm just looking at pictures of trees. Like I just went on Google and looked up pictures of trees, and there's some pretty new pictures of trees on the internet. Not even Sylvaneth ones. Just
I mean, that
woods.
one day when they updated, do you remember we had to go to German?
Oh
Was it
yeah,
next to
and there
work?
was the Japanese. Yeah, we had a German full interpret. We had the German Lumineth book before we had
Yeah.
All right, that's true.
Still no changes.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe that's what
Okay, to
Games Workshop
Japan.
think. Maybe that's what Games Workshop think that they are. Like, maybe they think that that's like good. Maybe they think they're good. I mean, they wrote the battle tome that way with the points.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they. It's a bit disappointing though. As a Sylvaneth lover, in more ways than one. I got wood chip in my dick once. Like, it's a whole kind of like ball. Like, I'm sad about that. All right, that's quite disappointing, but I'm still hopeful for the rest of the FAQ. Don't worry. All right, Nathan Prescott. Nathan, you got to be excited. You got to be excited about the Gits, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they're bound to be putting the points up on the old Gobblepalooza. They've been kicking dick.
Because they're way too strong. But what points changes would you like to see? Please tell me.
I would like to see the Trog Herd not costing the same amounts of points as a change host. That's what I would like to see.
Madness. They're
very
completely
reasonable.
on par.
But what evidence do you have to support that, Nate? Like, how many Trog Herds have taken a first place versus change hosts?
I don't need evidence. Got this brain thing that gets my head heavy all the while, and it's a fucking pain in the ass sometimes. And I reckon they just could not be the same level of power. It's just crazy. In fact, yeah, there's loads of the battalions and the Gits. I'd like to see the battalions and the Gits all coming down 20, 30 points, like substantial stomping down. We'll get some good battalions out there. It's a nice way to have a good time. Yeah, like the Gobblepalooza battalions, 110, 120 points, something like that.
Close to the
Knock
Arulian
some
Legion
points
and the Stormkeep Patrol.
By your
Just
own
knock-
admission, though, Nath, it is the best.
Oh,
battalion.
yeah. But,
So, probably fair.
yeah, but it would be the best if it were a bit cheaper.
Okay, no, that's a good point. No, yeah, you're right. And also, like, a good comparison, Trog Herd, obviously, to Change Host smashing it in top level tournaments. Trog Herd's not, unfortunately, seen much. I mean, Trog Herd is the best, obviously, but probably there could be a points difference between them. Be it only 10 points, you giant cowards. So, I think, and also, we need to talk about the Gits in the meta. Obviously, for a while, it looks like Gits were doing okay, or they were trying, but I've got to say, it's the release of the OCR Bone Reapers, it feels like, with their crawlers, which really paid trouble to, because, I mean, they're everywhere, and they're such a good army, and they would negatively affect Gits so much. So, that's pretty rough. I'm hoping when we get to the OCR exchange, I don't know what I would do to the crawler to kind of make it not affect Gits so much, but I can't wait to see. James, Gloomspike Gits. Tell us the points changes, baby. Oh, let's go.
Last updated.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
16th of the 12th, 2019.
So there are no points changes at all?
No.
Okay.
Well, there were.
Okay. Yeah.
About a year and a half ago in 2019.
Okay. All right. Damn. Missed the boat there.
Were there any points changes in the GHB 2020, Nath, for Gits?
I think there were. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, there were. There were some. The Gobblepalooza went down a little bit.
So what are you complaining about then, Nate?
I'm not. Yes, I am. It would have been nice to see some points changes this year. It's just, like you said before, it's just nice to see some refreshment. And we've had all of the White Dwarf stuff come through. So you would like to see, maybe some pointage around those, like squig herds. Make them a bit cheaper. It's not like they're gonna
break the world if loads of squigs run around and rip people's faces off. It's going to happen anyway, so just make it so there's more of them, so we see more of them doing it.
I mean, the Ragnarok with Flinger is still more expensive than the Crawler. Like,
yeah, well,
but they might have increased the points of the Crawler.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Were there any War Scroll changes for the Gits, James?
Nah.
Oh, fuck.
Can I? Hey, sorry. Look, it looks like we missed the boat on Gits.
Yeah.
But speaking about missing the boat, there is one that certainly, even if you were to say that we didn't have tournament results data since the GHB 2020 release, which obviously we don't possess that data. Even if you were to say that, you couldn't have missed the boat on the fact that one waterborne army in one particular style has dominated the meta since its book was released. Does anyone know what army I might be referring to?
Legion of Grief.
No. But
Scourge Privateers.
No, not Scourge Privateers. I am, of course, referring to the Ideneth Deepkin, specifically Eel Spam. Eel Spam. Now, even knowing that since COVID, not a single game of Warhammer has been played, not a single tournament has had results, and there has been no data for us to draw from. Even pre that, we knew that Eel Spam was spectacular. So obviously, Rob, James, Nath, that must have been dealt with.
Well, I mean, so one of the kind of things with the Marathi book coming out, Dan, sorry, obviously, like, we got the Turtle, we got the Alapex, we got those changes, some pretty massive changes. The Alapex, probably one of the most MPE units in the game now. Hashtag ally into Sylvaneth, along with the Eels, and put the Sylvaneth in the bin. And then
just take an Eel army. An ally in a Sylvaneth unit. That's what you want to do.
Yeah. The point I was going to make was is I was kind of thinking in this points update that we were going to see those Eels go up in a kind of classic Games Workshop switcheroo. Like, everyone buy Turtles now, maybe buy Ishling Guard and Morsar Guard, who are the offensive Eels. They'll go up in price now, you know, points wise, because they've dominated and we've sold loads of them. Good old salmon cannon. So are you about to tell us what changed in that now?
Yeah, because like clearly they recognized the problem, so they improved the war scrolls that no one was taking. Also, they probably realized they were like, oh, our warehouse never has eels, but we've always got tons of sharks and tons of turtles. Let's balance this. Let's make it right. So I'm just gonna flick across and pull up the deep. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. I just got to.
You refresh your cookies.
Yeah, didn't refresh my.
Yeah,
cookies.
make sure you refresh those cookies.
I'm just gonna jump on. This can't be right. Give me 2 seconds because I'm gonna open Google Chrome and I'll use Chrome. Let me set it to private.
That's not gonna work. I'm
gonna try setting your Games Workshop thing to the Russian site or German site. Maybe
I'm going to set it to the setting that you use when you're
Warhapedia.ru. That's the one.
Well, no, I'm going to use the private browsing, the one that you usually do when you don't want anyone to notice that you've been up to, and I'm going to check. Okay. That says that
is
it
it
hasn't
not right?
been updated since.
Wait, hold on. I've got a link here. No, don't worry. I've got a link in the chat for you, Dan. Don't worry. The guys have sorted me out.
Yep.
No, this is just a Warhammer Age of Sigmar MetaWatch article about how good Ideneth Deepkin are at winning tournaments from a man who's never actually lost with them, not one time.
Well, that I find because all I've been able to find, and surely it's wrong, is that they were last updated on the 16th of the 12th, 2019, which was the same date that the General's Handbook 2019 was last updated. So
no changes is what you're saying.
Look, in fact, well, what this means is there's less than no changes. So this army that was already dominating got an improvement in the Marathi book.
Correct.
But but then again, we don't have any data. So impossible to. Oh, that's right. They've been dominating since before we didn't have data.
Oh, this is honestly, I am surprised. These are like I can kind of see it though because they've had a blind spot to eels the entire time. Like it's been a thing, right? Like they've never changed. They've escaped GHBs after FAQs after like time and time again. So and I mean the book just came out, so maybe like I'm going to give them a pass on this one. I don't want to.
They are
obviously.
slippery little fucks, aren't they?
Nathan, you couldn't be righter. Fuck yes.
Have you ever tried to grab an eel? It's just like it's gone.
No. Plenty of worms.
Or an electric eel. Have you tried to grab an electric one? Fucking hurts.
Have you?
What? Yeah. It fucking hurts. Yeah, I went fishing by Victoria Falls one time with these dudes, and they said to me that they were like, we were fishing, and one of them reeled this thing in, ugly as fuck it was, ugly fish, and he was like, oh, suddenly he looked at me funny, he said, that's really ugly, I don't want to take it off, can you take it off for me? And then suddenly everybody was looking at me. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, grabbed it. Bang! Ah! Then I knew why they were looking at me. They wanted to see me get fucking electrocuted by a fish. Wankers.
I love Nathan's tales from the bush. Remember that time you were fighting a tiger? Great story. Loved it. James, there was actually, you missed it, but I didn't get an update, which is weird, but that's fine. There was actually an update to Gits that you missed.
On the bases?
Yes, base sizes.
Yeah. So I did see that one. Would you like that one?
Yeah, please, because the Gargant has actually changed base sizes quite a lot. Nathan's put him on like 18 different bases. He doesn't really have a foot left, I think, at this stage.
So,
and the Ragnarok, I don't even know what that base is meant to be on anymore. Yeah, go on. What's the changes?
So Mort's Mighty Mushroom now uses the base size that it's provided with in the box.
Did it not previously?
I imagine not.
Right, I'm confused. Nathan, like, what's the situation with this mushroom? Like, also,
I'd
actually forgotten it existed.
I've got the base size that it's always been on, and it's the one I've always used. I don't understand that at all.
Wait, did it previously come with a 60mm base, but they told you it was a 50mm base?
I don't fucking know. I just used the one that came in the box, and I'm pretty sure it was always the right one. And now they just made it pink, I think, but I don't know for sure.
Questions no one asked. Part 33. Okay, so we don't know why it's changed. Is the point?
No.
Right.
That's the only base size change, though, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting because you're scratch building your Lumineth, Dan. But you're using basically all Games Workshop parts.
Mm-hmm.
But what you might find is because you're using lots of parts, all the bases get mixed up, and then you don't know what bases your Lumineth would be on.
Of course, yeah.
So obviously now the basing size has been updated. You can make sure your Lumineth are on the right bases because you can just use the basing guide.
Awesome. Yes, I'm going through it right now to make sure. James, can you help me with something here?
Yeah.
Yeah, mate, I'm just struggling a little bit because I can't seem to. Maybe it's because I've got Dwarden eyes, and so it's really hard for me to focus.
What bases are you looking for? The Lumineth one. They'll be in order. Dan, they'll be in order.
Yeah, that probably. I was looking in destruction because
maybe
it's
they'll
destroyed.
Maybe they'll be in a new section because obviously there'll be the Gargants and all the new stuff like 2021. Maybe it's on a new page. Scroll to the bottom.
Yeah. At the bottom, I've got Malign Sorcery and a series of base sizes that just say use model.
What?
Oh, excellent. So if you have a Bellwind Vortex, you just use the model.
Well,
I mean, what more did I need?
You know what's amazing is that means for the Aether Void Pendulum, guess what is about to go on the largest base that I have access to?
Use model.
Use model.
I mean, that does, to be fair, that does make, like, just as a side note from the sarcasm for a moment, it makes sense for something like the Sylvaneth Wildwood or the Balewind Vortex, but you don't get to say use model on the Geminids of Ulgaish if it's just two testicles that I can put now on a 160mm base.
No, I'm putting down that Dreadsaurian base.
Yeah, be like, what's that?
Oh my god! Can we never bring that up? Can we never bring that up? Listen, I love everyone who's got a Dreadsaurian. Love that model. Got one myself. when they were like, it's this stupid base size, which we don't even make anymore, I was like, cool, I'm just never going to do that. Or I'm going to put it on the largest base they do, like a 160, which is Godrak's base. Put it on that. If anyone complains, I'll just fucking leave. Yeah? I'll fucking leave. Someone's like, you can't put it on that base. I'm like, you can't fucking breathe the air I breathe, you fucking knuckle dragger. Sorry, that's the only thing that really will bother me today, is people mentioning the base sizes of the Dreadsaurian. It's just...
Okay, sorry. I'll take that back.
It's a personal issue for me. It's real personal.
On a personal benefit, though, Dan, I think as Lumineth players, there are some relatives of the Lumineth on the basing guide. So the White Lions, the Lion Rangers still have base sizes. So I think anything in the Lumineth army just has to go on those.
Yeah, just put it on. I mean, elves, who cares?
The 25 mil or the 120 by 92 mil.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
the Mammoth Pa. Love you loads, by the way. Really enjoying what I'm seeing you painting on Twitter at the minute. You're a fucking ledge. Also, Scumbomb, Nathan, in the chat says that the Mork's Mighty Mushroom has changed to a 60 mil because it used to be a 65? Are you sure your base isn't a 65 mil base?
Oh, I've found a tape measure. Yes. Oh, I knew I had one.
A builder that had to find a tape measure.
Yeah, they always have to find one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is a 65. That's the one I came on. So I've got to change the space.
You got to change it to a 65.
Oh.
What else in the game comes out of 65?
Oh, gosh. What the fuck is that? Oh, no, I've got to base my fucking mushroom. Oh. How the fuck's that happen?
Do they even make 65 mil bases? I need to know.
Oh, what a bunch of wankers. Oh, fuck.
This is great. Yep.
Oh, fucking dickhead.
Cut it off.
Oh,
Because, well, I think that was the thing. We were really concerned that Gits were overpowered. So taking half a 5 mil off of their range, that's going to change a lot.
oh,
Fuck. They must fucking hate you, Nathan. They must be like, fuck you hanging out with that Rob guy. They must have seen me with that sign. They'll be like, oh, fuck that Rob's mate as well. Fuck him.
oh, what a bunch of twats.
No one's ever gonna know, Nate. Just leave it on a 65. It's not like we've talked about it on the internet to a lot of people.
I'll know. Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Sorry.
You know
where
what?
were we at?
Actually, hang on. Whoa, let's stop, because a good thing has come from this.
Yeah.
Every game you play against Nathan now, Rob, and he's like, you buy some netters, do you know you're -1 to hit? You'll be like, do you know your base is 0.5 mils too long?
Sorry, buddy.
Bunch of knobs.
No, well, Nate, technically you are now the knob because you're using an illegally sized model.
Yeah.
I reckon if
Game into
I
advantage.
get a belt sander or something and sand this rimmel, I'll be alright.
Fucking hell. Oh my god.
Oh, fucking dickhead.
Marty 8 Hoy, thanks for donating 100 bits for Nathan.
Sorry,
Gal
can I
got-
just quickly, in the chat, Coots said there must be a lot of data on the mushroom. Amazing! Oh, so good. Oh gosh. Okay. We need
And
to
it's
get.
also,
I
it's
bet
also
none of
the
you
one
cunts
that
know what a mushroom does anyway.
Yeah.
I do.
Wank.
It's 86 range.
That's how far you throw it.
Plus
Yeah.
5 mils if Nathan's 0.5 mils.
You
if Nathan's-
fucking gamey bastard. No wonder I lost to that Gits list with the mushroom the one time you ever played it, because no one plays it.
Okay. Well, we need to we need to
Focus,
get our
'cause
heads
people
back
are here
in the
for
game, guys.
serious
Everybody.
analysis. Okay? James, get it together. This is
We've got a
serious
lot-
analysis.
James,
Sorry.
we've got a lot to get through. We have
A lot to get
Just
through.
slapping myself. I'm back in. I'm back in.
All right,
Rob, what's
okay.
next?
All right.
What's
In
next?
honor of
So
Halo who's
obviously-
in the chat, what about the bigs? We need the bigs. So the Ogre Moor tribes. It's arguable when the book came out. Stonehorn's obviously super strong. Big shout out to Stuart McCowan making us so impressed with Iron Guts. Everyone loves a cheeky Noblar. You know, there's some big plays with the ogres, but it's arguable that balls could change. We probably could see like a complete War Scroll rewrite for the Thunder Tusk. I think that's fair. I think that would be Thunder Tusk. That would be fine. Man-Eaters could do with some sort of like different unit role in their army, and there could be some points changes floating around. So, what about the bigs? Please tell me about the bigs, Dan.
I'm so ready.
Oh, wait, you're ready as well. James is going to tell us. Yeah.
My tyrant right here. Ogre More Tribes. Let's do it.
I bet they
Last
changed the
update
fucking base sizes of them.
I so love that they fucked you over, Nate. That's the only thing. Go on. James, what's the changes?
Well, so I've got it here. Opening, reading. Last update was from July last year. And no, that's okay, because the updates from July last year were probably really key. They'll probably.
But we've already had them.
Probably, yeah. No. But that's what I'm saying. Is like they were within 6 months. That's fine. They were probably very, very ready on the nose. There is absolutely no magenta.
No changes at all.
Well,
but to be fair, they're like a middling army.
They have a grand total of 2 pieces of errata
ever,
and two questions. So they have a grand total of 2 questions of errata and 1 piece of designer's commentary, none of which apparently was new on the 20th of July 2020. In fact, it's just there was nothing new. So basically, November 2019 is the last time we saw anything for the Ogre More Tribes.
Okay. I mean, they've done quite well in competitive play recently, but their internal balance isn't overly the best, I'd argue. So...
I guess the thing is, as Speckles points out, though, destruction players not great at reading. I've been chatting with a few people in the chat during today's show about how the next FAQ we're going to do in picture books to make it easier for destruction players so that they can have access to it, equal opportunity FAQs and all. So maybe that's why they chose to do that.
Well, Gitley in the chat's making the joke that they're the Ogre-less tribes, but they didn't get less in this update. They just didn't get anything. So Ogre-same tribes, I think, is that's a sad one, really. Can I just say thank you to Brian Spirillo for subscribing for 11 months, and also to Dude for donating 10 quid to the show to feed me. Which, honestly, that's what I use the money for, so I appreciate it. Okay, all right. So there hasn't seemed to be a lot of changes so far. Okay, this is not a drama. I'm sure I can pick one. Yeah, I'm sure we can pick one that's going to make a change. Nathan,
okay, stop edging, and let's get there.
Yeah, Nathan, you got anyone you want to pick? Any of the books that we haven't talked about so far that maybe need some love, or you want to see nerfed?
Fuck those guys.
Uh-huh.
Fucking cutting my base down now. Fucking dickheads. Those guys are coming.
To talk about now. He's just there looking at his fucking mushroom. He's just cutting his hands. He's just staring at his mushroom like this is fucked.
I love the fact he's just sat there holding it, getting more and more annoyed.
Cutting the rim off, so it's on my base.
They might change it tomorrow. They don't have any clue what they're doing. Don't change it. Leave it. What are you going to do? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, my insides hurt.
1 mil. I've got a little bit more to take off. I'll get the file out just now. Fucking bastards.
Thanks to everyone for listening to the podcast. Apologies for screaming. That's right, Nathan. You burned that mushroom.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if Nate's
what book do I want next? Cities of Sigmar. Go on.
Good
See
one.
what they've done.
Why would it be? Because of the terrible internal balance. They obviously need to maybe put the points up of Phoenix Guard, or maybe even the Frostheart Phoenix, and change the points of terrible things like Wild Riders, and drop some stuff for that Viridian Pathways, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, probably also just the massive amounts of units in that book. Like, it's such a huge book. It's so packed with different war scrolls. You couldn't do an FAQ without updating and balancing it a little bit. You know, like you could not possibly ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, James. Can I just also thank you to Zide Guy, who's donated £1.92 to the show, specifically to buy Nathan Prescott a new base for his mushroom. So appreciate
Don't worry,
that.
mate. I've cut it down. I'm just going to scrape it using my scraper. Just the edge, because it's about 1 mil now. I'm nearly there. So.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go on, James. What's been? Oh, Marcus Rock. Thanks for donating £5 to the show. Big love to you. Loads. So what's going on with the Cities of Sigmar?
That also hasn't been updated. That was updated.
No.
On the 7th.
Okay.
On the 7th day.
Okay.
Of the 20th month of 2020.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm getting.
What year has got 20
Because
months?
for some reason, the Cities of Sigmar has the American date format. Nothing else does.
Oh.
Right. Okay.
Maybe the Cities of Sigmar in America then.
Yeah. There's a bit of a trend developing here. Thank you, Owen, for pointing that out. Big shout out to Redman. So, James, I'm a bit concerned that maybe your particular website isn't updating properly, or also Dan's and Nathan's and mine. Mm-hmm. But so show me ones that have updated. That's better.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you like a list?
No, just hit me with one at a time. I kind of want to be because I'm getting a bit disappointed, and I've been so excited for this for ages.
Okay, so the bases have been updated, but we know that it was just the mushroom.
Okay, and the gargants?
Okay.
Wankers.
No, not the gargants. The gargants aren't on there. They've just done Nathan's mushroom. Nothing else. Just Nathan's mushroom.
Sweet.
I could just turn off the show now, if I'm
Skaven,
honest. I'm happy just turning the show off.
No,
no
okay.
Skaven. So I'm just gonna do the ones we've done.
Okay.
So,
no, James, sorry, there's an obvious one. Your favorite army that you won't stop banging on about, that you just every single time you're talking about armies, you're like, oh, I love this army. I can't wait for the Winter FAQ to make it good again. I'm just so excited. I want everyone to know how much I love playing Khorne. So what are the updates for Khorne?
Oh, yeah.
There isn't any, but it's boring.
Okay.
So that's fine.
Didn't see that coming, but that's okay.
He didn't need an update. He puts people to sleep. They don't get to finish their game. You win anyway.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Okay, so what has updated? Yeah.
We have an update for Malign Sorcery.
Okay, that was left field. I wasn't expecting that. So
yeah, I kind of forgot
Geminids maybe. Oh, points changes on Endless Spells is fucking massive. That's so important, right? Like Geminids going up, that's really important because they're way too cheap at what they are. Maybe we'll see some sort of change to bound. That'll probably be in the Seraphon thing, actually. So yeah, like we'll see a change to bound Endless Spells. So points going up on Endless Spells really important. Maybe even the mirror just nerfed into oblivion. That'd be so good. What's the changes?
Okay, would you like the designer's commentary or the?
Just hit me with everything. Go for it.
Oh, I've got the errata off by heart. If you'd like it.
Oh yeah, please. Wow, that's impressive.
So here we go. Balewind Vortex, obviously a bit of an issue. So it's the only thing that's been addressed in the errata. Thank God, because realistically, like rules-wise, changes to rules, that's the only one I'd really like rules changes for, because the Geminis just need to be pointed more. So rules-wise, Balewind Vortex, here it comes. Marathi Kane cannot attempt to cast this spell.
Okay. Well, that's it.
That's it.
Geminids up? Wait, where's the points bit? Is that in there?
No. This is just the errata, not the points. Just the errata. So
okay. I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Changes.
You don't want little Marathi on a Balewind, I guess. I mean, ultimately, who cares? But sure. Like, did it tell you the base size?
No. It's not changed. However, just in case anyone missed, the mushroom has. Nathan, could you shave 5 mils off your base, please? 0.5 mils.
Yeah, I'm fucking doing it now.
5 mils. 5 mils.
Dickheads.
Okay, what's the points changes, Dan? What are the points changes?
Oh, the points changes. Okay, let me have a look here, just pulling it up. There are... Okay, so Geminids. How many points were Geminids? Does anyone remember? Question to the class.
Wait, hold on. So, hold on. Marathi can't go on a Balewind.
No.
But Croak can.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's because she's only half of a person.
Also, if Marathi could go on a Balewind, it would be broken. Croak, not broken on a Balewind.
What does Marathi do on a Balewind that makes her so so triggering to people.
She might be able to cast the mushroom when she's on there, and the base size on that was too big. They think they've addressed it, but then there's not enough data.
Fair.
Could it be? Could it be? Hold on. There's also another little kind of follow up here, which I think is a good point. Thank you to Zirak for James also cracking that. Loved it. Zirak, thanks for subscribing. Big love to you. I heard had to resub because of how wet this FAQ is making me. I'm with you. Question in the chat is: Croak isn't a woman, so it's a directed like misogynistic attack. Dan, any thoughts on that? Or
Absolutely. Well, but the hard thing is, aren't frogs one of those species that can change gender, like clownfish?
Yeah.
So maybe they're about that, but they're not about someone who can change their form.
Okay.
They're about change of gender, not change of form, I believe, which is
I
really
think it's down a dark path. I'm going to just get you out of this. What are the points?
Oh well, no. Yeah, so what were the? But tell me, what were the points for the Geminids pre this update?
Were they 60 points, 80 points, 80 points?
The chat will know. Chat.
Chat.
20 points.
How many points were the Geminids pre FAQ?
60
points. Okay, good, because that is now they have changed to be 60 points.
That's the same.
No, it's a change. Because you wouldn't do the FAQ without changing that. So
how much is Mork's Mighty Mushroom in points?
Mork's Mighty Mushroom, I don't know. What was it
Nathan?
before?
I think it's 90 points.
90.
Yep. Well, good news. Mork's Mighty Mushroom now on its reduced
the
base
Steven
size.
Vortex
to help
is 80
balance it.
points. The
It's 90
Vortex
points.
is 80 points.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. And then other than that, it's just the rest of the Malign Sorcery updates are basically about specifying what affects endless spells and what can people that gain the wizard keyword do. And it's mostly no.
What?
Well, it's like if a wizard increases the number of wounds caused by a spell, does it affect endless spells? No. Things like that.
Okay.
So mostly kind of logical stuff, really.
Right. Okay. But no point changes is the point.
Yeah, they changed them to the same as what they were.
There is a nice question for you there, Rob, in the FAQ.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, please.
Are you ready for this one?
Yeah, go for it.
I think this one is personally for you. So I think this has been added to the FAQ for you.
They see me out the window.
So I think they've done this nice, right? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Some spells require you to pick a point on the battlefield within a certain distance of the caster.
Yeah.
And then draw a line from that point back to the caster. Can this point be measured from an umbral spell portal? And if it can, is the line drawn back to the caster?
Yes, then no.
Yes to both.
Wait, so you have to do it from the portal, which extends your range, and then draw it back to the caster in a straight line?
Who knows?
the portal.
To the portal. Back to the portal.
Oh,
Isn't that
back
what
to
you
the portal.
just
The
said?
point to the portal. Yeah. Okay, right, yes. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, who didn't do that anyway?
And if it can, is the line drawn back to the caster? Yes to both questions.
Oh, is it drawn? Oh, it's drawn back to the caster. Yeah.
So you
That's a
can,
change,
so that,
right?
yeah, so you can cast
Yeah,
it
not
through
to
the
the portal. Sorry.
You can cast
Yeah.
it through the portal, but the line goes from the portal, the point that you choose from the portal back to the caster, which is actually kind of cool because it means that you can kind of laser beam across.
Right, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, fine. It's old news, apparently. This isn't even an update. So, thanks everyone in the Twitch chats. This isn't even new. Glorious.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. Right, what get me some new updates, because at the minute it's like other than the mushroom.
I mean, that's currently magenta, so that's currently classed as new.
When was it updated?
The 25th of the 1st, 2021.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Fair
well, Rob, would you be offended if we put our finger on the pulse and hit the
Go for
hot button issue?
Let's go for it.
Well, it's the army that everybody's obviously been waiting for this FAQ to deal with, Seraphon.
Yeah.
In specifically Croak and Bound Endless spells.
Of
Guess
course.
what? You guess what, baby?
Yeah, tell me.
Updated. FAQ.
Updated. Wow, okay, FAQ. This is big boy territory.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Fangs of Sotek commandability, Stephen AOS made a good, like, sort of suggestion that it just didn't work if you're in combat. Good argument there. I think that's one. Croak obviously got to go up points. I don't know if you guys remember when I spoke about Croak at the Battle Tome review, literally at launch, and I was like, he'll be in every list ever. So like it was clear from day one that 320 points for that ability was obviously insane. And then we waited for the FAQ and it didn't. So yeah, what are the changes there, Dan?
So points wise, they changed them. Oh, they were sticking with a theme, and it's always good to have a theme.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a theme, it's really easy to go with it. They changed the points from what they were to they reduced them all to 0 and then changed them back to what they were.
I'm so confused. That's the same. Wait, so they're the same points. Skinks is still 60 points for 10.
You are absolutely correct, and I know what you're thinking. That's ridiculous. But if you think about the fact that they changed them to 0 first, they were absolutely underpointed. So then when they changed them back to 60, they actually balanced them better than when they were 0 points.
Did they show they're working?
No,
Did they show they're working?
I'm having to logic this one out to understand it.
Okay.
And that's the logical answer. Though there was one piece of errata.
Are they sold out of Croaks?
Possibly. They're like, it's not going to be a problem because all the Croaks are already in.
They already exist in the world.
They're all deployed, lads. They're all deployed.
Yeah.
So they've done no points changes on Seraphon.
Yes, however, I'm going to stop you right there. Between the designer's commentary and the errata, there is one piece of magenta.
Right.
So there's one actual update to Seraphon in all of the FAQ.
No bound endless spells allowed.
Yeah, no doubt. What else would be a hot button issue? Like, what's something else that you think?
If you play Seraphon, you have to dress like a frog.
Also would be very useful. No, what they did, they had their finger on the pulse. They knew what they needed to fix, Rob. They knew what they needed to fix.
Yep.
It's from page 61 in the book. The Law of Celestial Manipulation. Bind endless spell. They specified that you pick one endless spell within 18 of the caster that is not soul linked and is visible to them. Yep.
So the only FAQ update they said was that I can't bind Oceot Bone Reaper's endless spells. Is the only Seraphon change.
Or other bound spells. Just to be real clear on that one.
Nathan, have you got any thoughts on this?
What? Can I do it to my mushroom?
They can do it to your mushroom. They can do it to your mushroom.
Even if you get that big roll and you throw it out there, then they're like dibs.
Whatever. Dickheads. Changing the fucking mushroom song.
Can I just? I really love. Where is it? I saw a great response in the chat, and it's already slipped away from me. Which is, BWG Cannonball, 2 words, and I love them. Visible, nice. Like
visible or invisible.
You've got to be able to see the one that you're taking control of.
Oh God, mace.
There is an update that we might like.
They didn't even hold on. No, I've tried to keep it together for a while. Yeah, Nathan's gone. He's fucked. Yeah, he's left. He's burning mushrooms as we speak. All right. So there's no points change for an army which was clearly underpointed at launch. GHB comes around, no points change. Winter FAQ, no points change. No points change at all. None. 0. Even after a fluff piece where they try to pretend that a Caradron was a problem, when Seraphon were clearly the fucking problem. Yeah? Oh wait, they changed salamanders, but they're like Croak 320. No drama. This is the situation we're in.
But there is a Nighthaunt change.
No, let me tell you, James, I fucking love it. Because Croak's still the best. I gave you the advice last time. I said everyone buys a fucking croak and we all get 75 billion skinks and we just play the same fucking game all the time. And you're like, you're a fucking madman, Rob. That would never happen. And yet it will. And it won't change in the next fucking AOS 8.3 or whatever. And when they bring out endless fucking tectonic plates, or you got to bring your own Roma battle board and flip it over or some stupid shit. And we'll all just have another croak. And maybe they'll just make more croaks. You don't even know. Just fucking loads of croaks everywhere.
Maybe he'll not be unique anymore.
Okay. All right, fine. Fine. No skink changes. None. No skinks. Didn't change the skinks.
No.
Zilons?
Didn't change the skinks. They didn't change any points. The new points are in the... So the Seraphon FAQ has the points in, but none have changed.
Okay. All right, fine. No points changes.
But in Nighthorn, the Briar Queen is now a wizard.
Oh my god, I fucking hate these people! Oh.
Did you know? Did you know the Briar Queen's a wizard? I didn't even know who she was. I had to fucking Google her.
Fucking
Who is she?
Okay.
Some
Okay.
dead woman from fucking Shadespire or somewhere.
Oh, they're from Underworlds. Okay, so you can now buy that Underworlds warband. And the Briar Queen is a wizard.
For the record, the Briar Queen is actually a really awesome addition to any Nighthorn army. A lot of like high level Nighthorn
So the whole army sucks, Dan.
However,
it's a 40% win rate for 3 years. It's awful.
Hang on.
But here's
Hang
the
on,
thing.
let's calm
Here's the
down.
thing. Before we get to that, she can already cast a spell and has all of the other stuff about being a wizard. So anyone who needed that FAQ to tell them that she is a wizard had some kind of horse kick to the head as a child.
But she's now a wizard. So my concern now is, so Rob's done his little point out that you all should have brought croaks. So I'm going to do my little point out. So they've now realised the Briar Queen is a wizard, which means probably in summer when we get 3.0, what we'll now realise is the Briar Queen's base is probably 5 mils too big either way. So if you've got a Briar Queen, get her a smaller base and match
Shave
it
her
up
down.
so she's ready.
Shave her down. Yep.
Yeah.
Can she go on a Bellwind Vortex?
Yes, because that's just Marathi that can't.
Okay. But you know that they're a terrible army, right? Like, anyone who plays Nighthorn, I'm not criticising your army as in, like, I think thematically it's beautiful. I think it's got a great story to tell. It's, like, beautiful models. But, you know, like, its win rate is, like, atrocious. Like, it's atrocious. Like, it's, like,
But
truly
now they've
shit.
got another wizard.
Huh?
They've got another wizard now.
The thing that was holding them back was access to wizards.
I think, like, when she's dispelling Croak spells, she doesn't care about +4. She's got some roses.
Imagine you put a whole Sylvaneth army and you're like, don't worry, lads, they're going to fix this at some point. GHB, don't worry, Christmas. Oh, Christmas. You just fucking sat there, you're like, this Briar Queen, though. Oh, I'm fucking laughing. Okay.
Okay, well, you know what, Rob? Before you did actually mention...
I'm really getting sad
when we were talking about Seraphon, you mentioned KO as an issue in that regard, more that the KO were...
I didn't even think it was that much of an issue, but sure. I mean, spell in the bottle, that needs looking at quite significantly. Hero phase move for Barak Ziflin, that's a big deal.
But
some of the wordings.
Finger on the pulse.
Okay.
FAQ has been done for the KO. They are in the list. Done the FAQ. So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I almost like, would you like to read one? Because we seem to be reading to you. Would you like to check it out?
I don't think we should let Rob read one.
That's absolutely the safest choice. So we'll go to the designer's commentary first, because it's always interesting to know what the designers thought needed to be specified or changed. And basically, it's just, these rules that I was trying to abuse. You can't abuse those rules because of things that we already said.
Yes.
Right. Like when people are like, can I do this because specifically in the rule it doesn't say I can't? They've said, yeah, but the rules for doing that entire thing say you can't. So the fact that you thought you could ignore one and do the other is kind of dumb. So basically they've just said no to dumb questions. Good, great. Sometimes we must walk as slow as our slowest person. Though I do, having a look at them, if you play KO, you know what I'm talking about. They were abusable rules that realistically, if you were honest with yourself, you couldn't use.
Did they FAQ the artifact that doesn't specify what phase it ends in?
They did.
Yes! A fucking win!
Oh, fabulous day, Kalu Kalei. He chortled in his joy. The emergency vent plates, they end at the end of that phase.
Oh my god, they have smashed this FAQ. Okay, we're back on it. I thought that they were literally ignorant of literally everything, even though there's loads of data for them to have, apparently. So that's fine. Okay, they're back in my good books. That is a fringe case like the Briar Queen that literally no one gave a fuck about ever. Brilliant. What else did they change, Dan?
What do you mean?
What else did they change? Obviously, like spell in a bottle. Like you got to cast it now. Roll 2d6.
No, Rob, I'm gonna stop you there, and I'm just gonna point out something to you. Previously, up to this point, did we really did we get excited about any of these massive FAQ updates? No, right? Like this is the first one we've gone. Damn, they really nailed that.
Yeah.
So that's where they stopped. They were like, we got it. We got that one. We got that one. Just
go on a high note. I mean, go on a high note at the end of the day.
Take the rest of the week off, boys.
You're in the office. Yeah, you're in the office, and you have been like working on this for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and you think, I fucking nailed the fucking KO now. You close that laptop at home. You sit down, probably exactly where you were beforehand. You put on, I don't know, like reruns of, I don't know, what would you, Poirot, maybe? I imagine that's what the Age of Sigmar rules writers watch. Nah, it's probably way too interesting. Probably Supermarket Sweep, something like really, really dense. I'm not sure what they watch. Nathan, any suggestions what the Age of Sigmar rules writers might watch for TV?
Don't know. I think this is what comes from working at home. Bastards.
That's a good point. That's something we need to put into context. They have been working at home. Like the 40k rules guys, who updated their entire game system. But you never know. Okay, so no more changes for KO.
Oh no, points have remained identical.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, that's fine. After the Seraphon thing, I'm not surprised, really. So I would expect. Okay, all right. Okay, so Seraphon are an issue, but probably like change host is a big issue as well. Have we got any Zinch changes? That would be really important. James, are there any like Zinch changes? Because
so Zinch is the disciples of Zinch.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. The Gaunt Summoner can now only bring five horrors.
Same.
I think we already had that.
That's the same. Yeah.
No, it's in magenta, so that's new.
Yeah. No changes.
Do you have a feeling that, you know, like sometimes when you have to do something for work, you just don't do it and submit the same thing you submitted last time before you got a round of revisions and notes? How much that they're looking at too many things to know? Maybe.
So I'm not going to know these. So there are some stars by the points in the Zinch book. So how much were we paying for 10 horrors of Zinch before today? 210?
Yeah. Or 220. 210 or 220.
Well, they're 220.
So they were 220 before, so that's fine.
Okay. The change link. 140?
They've changed none of the points, I don't think, James. I think is kind of the key phrase here.
So that's fine. And then there are two things in magenta.
Yeah.
In the designer's commentary.
Uh-huh.
Does changing a dice roll with mastery of magic ability count as a modifier?
I'm going to go for no, unless they wanted to stop people using like a fringe abuse case, which literally only maybe Nico from South London Legion and Joe Cryer from America were even using, because it's like utterly silly and no one cares. So probably no.
Yes, it does.
Wow, that's a real fringe case kind of solution there. Does anyone know? Does anyone know what that means?
Master of Magic
No,
does?
no idea.
No,
Yeah, it doesn't
Master of
matter.
Magic.
It doesn't matter. Like 2 people in the world gave a fuck about it, and now they've got a solution. So it's fine. It just means it counts as a modifier, right? The Mastery of Magic, right? So that when you change the dice roll, it'll change as a modified dice roll as opposed to choosing the result. So they're different. So that's really important because when it's a modified dice roll, it means you can no longer re-roll it or change it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Exactly. No one cares. Only people
Yeah.
with the most techie knowledge of the game. That's fine. Okay, good.
That was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sound of that one going over my head. Good.
And
Yeah.
the Changecaster's Fortune and Fate ability. Can the Changecaster's Fortune and Fate ability trigger more than once in the same hero phase if the casting roll for the extra spell is a 9+?
No.
Yes.
Ugh, God's sake, it's fine.
So they can just cast infinitely. Basically, just keep on casting.
Well,
So
if
they
he
run
rolls a
out.
9+, but he still only
Every
knows a
time.
handful of
Yeah.
spells, unless he knows all of the spells somehow.
Yeah. So just go back to Master of Magic as well.
Mm.
Like the other thing that it obviously affects is the agenda. So thank you for pointing that out as well. So there was a fringe case to abuse the agendas that Tzeentch have, but again, it's not quite as important as the Fangs of Zotek command ability, but still, is that all the changes for Tzeentch?
Yep.
What do you think?
I mean, I honestly don't know what you would have done with Tzeentch anyway. I mean, some point changes, maybe knocking around. I'd have just put Change Host up, but like really, everyone's just moved away from. Has everyone moved away from Change Host? Not really. Everyone's just playing Host Arcanum, Archeon.
No,
Not everyone,
well,
but there's a
I
thing.
think the reason people moved away from Change Host is they were certain that this FAQ was going to knock Change Host on its ass. Now that it hasn't, people are probably going to go, whoa, 6 more months of sunshine, and the Change Hosts are going to come back out in force, I reckon.
Thank you also to Benjamin for pointing out that Nathan, just to let you know, it does mean that the Change Caster on a Balewind can cast 5 spells, so will generate 5 fate points.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can the Change Caster go on a Balewind?
Yeah. Just not Marathi. Not
Not Marathi.
Not her.
As long as he's not Marathi, he's fine.
It's because she's half a person. The dead frog's fine. Dead
Yeah.
frog, he can go on it.
Dead frog,
But not
not
Little
even.
Marathi.
No.
All right, okay. What about so the Marathi book. Okay, that came out recently. Maybe we're finally going to see some rules changes from that, right? Like, so idolaters and the slaves to darkness. I mean, there's definitely the marauders could have done with a change. Like, any of that? Did any of that change? That would have been fun to see. Dan, you seen anything?
Okay, well, the first thing that hits me, I mean, Miss Thaven, the most intense teacher that I ever had a little change to their narcotics rules, but let's be honest, no one's playing Miss Thaven. The first thing that hurts me is that Stormkeep, sorry, need to crack a beer for this one if I'm going to be talking about Stormkeeps. Not going to be going into that one without an open bevy in my hand. Basically, it's talking about the 1 in 4 units in a Stormkeep army. Cheers, more Liberators, because it's bolded. So your city's units in a Stormkeep army, you add 1 to the bravery characteristic if they're within 12 of a friendly unit of Liberators, which, let's be honest, you've got 60 of because you're a piece of human garbage that we should have flushed, but you got stuck and we didn't have a plunger, so you're just sitting there clogging the bowl for the next unwary person who comes in, sits down, flushes, and ends up with pooey water on their shoes. In addition, when you pick a unit to benefit from a command ability from Battletome Stormcast Eternals, you can treat those units as if they were Stormcast Eternals units. So they don't gain the keyword, but you can still use command abilities on them. However, I know what you're here for, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're here for.
I'm here for it. Go on.
Idolaters battle traits. That's what you were like.
Because they effectively just didn't work when they released them, right? The FAQ, so that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So cultists have the battle line roll.
Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you can give them automatically the same chaos keyword that you gave your idolater lord, the one on the chariot that you upgraded. But remember, you wouldn't because it was really confusing and the keywords weren't right.
Yeah, but they fixed that. They did fix that in the previous FAQ, so that like they fixed some stuff around,
true, yeah.
so that you can now have your Idolater Lord, which is again the single sub-faction in the whole Slaves to Darkness. So any of these changes we're about to talk about won't affect any of the other Slaves to Darkness stuff at all. What changes did they then change it to?
He just gets it. And
okay.
The cultists, like they just get the chaos keyword, and then the cultists get
so
the
they can take a
Marauder
mark
charge
of chaos. That's actually really big. So if the general,
they don't get to take a mark. They just get the mark of the general.
Yes, yeah, which is really big because what you could do is you could have your general be, let's say, Nurgle, and then you can put them all in the Plague Touch Warband, and they're all Marauders. So not Marauders, the cultists will also get the mark of Nurgle, so you could include them in a Plague Touch Warband, or in a Pleasure Bound Warband, or any of those ones as well. So you could have, which we talked about on last week's show with the Slaves to Darkness War Scroll Battalions. So you can have your Idolater General, who's Nurgle, let's say, and then all of your... So if you wanted to, you could have 3 units of Battle Line. Because cultists become Battle Line, right? So you can have 3 units of Untamed Beasts as Battle Line, who are also marked Nurgle in a Plague Touch Warband, and then have the rest of my army also Nurgle as well, if that makes sense, in Idolaters.
It also gets crazier, because I've just noticed that rule. And in addition, when you make a charge roll for an Idolaters cultist unit, change the lowest dice to a 6.
Yeah. Well, they had that already, so they effectively get the Marauder charge as well.
Yeah, they get the Marauder charge.
So it's not bad. If you could be bothered, you could buy units of Iron Golems who have a 4-up rerollable save. If you wanted to, they'll charge really well. And obviously, if you listened to our show earlier today, the Plague Touch Warband, which is only 6s to wound. So if you hit them, any 6s to wound are going to cause you mortal wounds. They're becoming like it's a huge battalion that's seeing a lot of high-end competitive play. Came 3rd at Gold Con just this weekend. Does really well over on TTS. It's genuinely a very good War Scroll battalion. And now you get to make use of those incredibly cheap units. Instead of having to take Marauders or Chaos Warriors in the Idolaters.
But it can't be, can it? Because we haven't got any factual evidence to prove that it is a good warband.
Oh, no, that's true. No, good point.
There's no statistics.
There's no statistics. Yeah, you're right. There's no statistics that they're good. So that's a solid point. There are statistics that the mushroom.
Nathan hasn't spoke since he shaved 5 mils off that face.
I don't know. Actually,
you know what might make you feel better, Nathan? Yeah. I think you should text Nick Thompson and tell
just text him a photo of your base. Be like, "See, I done it."
What was the Idolaters artifacts are still missing. That is correct. This is actual news. So this is actual news. This is actual news.
Miss something that never existed.
Yeah, this is you've improved the veracity of the Slaves to Darkness. The cultists. What are they called? Warcry. The Warcry warbands. They now can take marks and they can go inside. This only in Idolaters though.
Only in Idolaters, and only when your Idolater Lord must have a mark, they gain that mark.
Yeah,
and the Idolater Lord gains the Idolater Lord, Eye of the Gods, Hero, and Priest keywords.
Yeah.
But not the leader battlefield role.
No, it's okay. They fix it. They fix it so you can at least have a leader now, which they previously didn't on book launch. And so there are people theory crafting, being able to create Slaves to Darkness armies with Idolaters. Obviously, you've got access to a lot of allies. So let's say you were to take Khorne, let's say, and then you were to ally in a Bloodsecrator, so you can have plus attacks. Or let's say you took Nurgle, keymark Nurgle, and then you allied in one of the Nurgle units from the Megakin and Nurgle book, so you can give mortal Nurgle units 5-up DPRs, or even make them minus to hit from shooting. So there's some play there in opening this book up, which is interesting. But ultimately, it does mean that you do have to buy some of the most expensive kits available for a fringe case 3-2 list that no one will ever care about. But it'll look cool, and that's really important. You also won't get you won't get any artifacts, and that was a big deal. So yeah, okay. So that's the only Slaves to Darkness change. No Be'lakor change. No Knights of the Empty Throne change. That you can't all of them go in the sword. No clearing up on the FAQ as to whether or not the commandability in Knights of the Empty Throne affects units over multiple objectives. Nothing like that.
No, but we do have some designers commentary based off some community questions.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Basically, do the nuggets, like the humans and the elves and the Dwarden, the cities of Sigmar units in a Stormkeep Stormcast Eternals army, do they gain the Stormcast Eternals keyword? And the answer is no, they don't. They also don't get your Stormhost keyword, which makes sense because they are plebs in the sight of bullshit gods. Then also can cities of Sigmar units in a Stormkeep army benefit from sub-faction command abilities? The answer is also no, they cannot. And so no massive surprises there. I didn't think anyone was going to start believing that somehow they were going to use Stormcast stuff to bring back units of dead humans as live humans, because that's really a Nagash kind of thing.
That's his vibe.
Yeah, that's a very different one of the gods there. And then the last one, because there were only 3, but obviously finger on the pulse of the hot button issues. They really nailed this one to the wall. Are the new Daughters of Cain War Scroll battalions available for use by Temples of Cain other than Xanthar Kai? The answer was yes. Whether you would actually take those War Scroll battalions.
So this is the funniest thing.
In any sub-faction other than Cobra Kai.
You know, when we looked at the 2 War Scroll battalions, we were like, these probably will only be available in the Cobra Kai sub-faction. Yeah, Xanthar Kai. And they now said no. But with the new Daughters of Cain book on the horizon, it probably makes sense. Makes sense that we're going to see some sort of diversification of their sub-factions or something like that anyway. So it's not really, already who cared? That's really important because these sub-factions got you nothing. You either played Hagnar or Calibron. And Corey obviously took out an event this weekend with Calibron, so some play there.
Cool.
Yeah, Nath, do you want to hear what he did?
Yeah, go on then.
It's some cool techie list. He put all of his models on the right size bases, and then.
Wanker, why did he do that?
I don't know, because he just put them on the ones that came in the box, and then so did you, right? And then he takes Morathi, yeah. Then what he does is he teleports using the command ability the big unit of 20 bow snakes, then uses the command ability from Morathi to shoot in the hero phase. Then what he does is he takes Laquan the Soul Seeker, so the Bringy Dingy, takes little baby Morathi, teleports, uses the Bringy Dingy to take her up. She can't die because of her special rule, the Iron Heart of Cain, or whatever it's changed to now. Yeah. And then Mirror Pools, which is a spell from the Daughters of Cain book, Morathi, big Morathi, so Snake Morathi, with Morathi. She does take 3 wounds, yeah, but then you end up 9 away, but you can still move in the next movement, or in the movement phase coming up, because Miracle isn't an old school one. So then you've got little Morathi at the back, and then big Morathi is in there, and then big Morathi moves, and then charges, and then the bow snakes shoot again, and then charge. That is, and he went 6-0 this weekend. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That's good work.
Insane.
Yeah, it's really cool. Okay, so any other changes of note do we think?
Negative.
No. Okay. All right.
Not for cities anyway.
It's agreed. For anything. Let's go on.
I don't know. Flesh Eater Courts, Lumineth. They got it.
Flesh Eater Courts. Fucking hell.
Oh, I'll do
Go
these ones.
Go on then.
So the errata.
Mm-hmm.
The War Scroll Battalion Royal Family has changed. So you change the battalion to the organization. Change the battalion organization to a royal family consists of the following units: 1 abhorrent archregent on.
It's okay. They changed the War Scroll Battalion, and big shout out to Jordan from Season of War who wanted it changed. So that's great. Or they clarified the ruling on it. Yeah.
Yep. And then the other one is Call to War allows a Grisigor hero to pile in and then attack as a reaction to being slain.
Don't say it.
Can I use Feeding Frenzy to fight again after using Call to War?
God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go for it.
Would you like to know which it is?
So if anyone's not
Yes.
aware what this is, fuck off, James.
Yes.
Fuck.
Call to. There's a good explanation. It's big. Are you ready?
Yeah, go on. They've explained why?
Yeah.
Can I explain to everyone, before you tell us why, can I explain to everyone what that means?
What that rule is, yeah.
Yeah.
So I charge a Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, yeah? Ignoring his amazing movement and the rest of the army he's got around, and I kill him, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm like, screw you, buddy. I've absolutely outplayed you there in the movement phase and everything else. And then he goes, no problem. I've got a command ability that lets me fight when I die. And you think, okay, I mean, that's not great. It's a bit of a weird trade because I've already moved in the movement phase to activate this ability. Like, it's weird, but there's already Death Frenzy in other books and other stuff. But I mean, that's normally on weaker units, but fine. And then the command ability, which lets you strike again, can be used after you're killed. So I can outplay you, kill you, you can then fight me again, and then fight me again. Right? Okay. Yeah. Why? Why is that okay? Why is that okay?
Because
and
sometimes you want to pile in an attack 4 times in a hero phase, in a combat phase.
So Call to War happens before the Slain model is removed from play. Temporarily halting the normal game sequence at that point.
Right.
The Feeding Frenzy command ability can be used after Call to War to allow the model to fight for a second time. The normal game sequence is then returned to, and the Slain model is removed from play.
Thank God.
Okay. Lot to unpack there. Lot to unpack.
Just shoot it.
I mean, number one, just shoot it. Key.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, we already knew that was. So some people weren't playing it that way because they thought this is dumb, and some people, I just don't want it. I love Speckles. I love him with all my heart. He's one of the kindest, nicest men you're ever going to want to be around. He's funny, terrible dancer, like just a great bloke. But honestly, he can get into the fucking sea with his Flesh Eater Courts army, and so could everyone else. I would put them on a boat and fucking send them to Australia like convicts if I had a chance. Dan, no offence. Yeah, that's just the British in me.
Send him our way. He's a gorgeous man.
Oh God! So
he's all yours, Dan.
So let me tell you. Let me get this right. The FAQ is simply this. This is a TLDR of FAQ. By the way, so hello everyone. 6-month update. If you want, you can put marks on your cultists, which you don't give a shit about anyway, but you can't have artifacts. Lol jokes, we didn't write this well. Yeah? Number 2, we've done no points. Number 3, Nathan's mushroom has to be a tiny bit smaller, which is hilarious to just us. Yeah? Number 4, Flesh Eater Courts are as bad as you thought they were. Maybe even worse. Hashtag the Briar Queen's a wizard now. Is that the whole FAQ?
Well,
I think that should be what it's called. Bright Queen is a wizard now.
There are a few FAQs. There are a few like FAQs in the core rules designer's commentary, and I've gone through them with a fine-tooth comb, and I can actually boil them down to one question and answer. All of I think it's 5 or 6 changes in there.
Yep.
Do you want to know what the question is?
What is it?
If I obscurely read this rule in a way that benefits me, but breaks other rules of the game, can I obscurely read this rule and play it in the way that benefits me, but breaks other rules in the game? And the answer is no.
Is that honestly in there? Is that honestly in there?
Okay, for instance, at the end of each player's turn, who checks to see if they have gained control of any objectives first? The player whose turn it is, because they're the only one that can score, dickhead.
Oh, I like the fact it's also in capitals.
This is the Gargants.
It's in bold. Why is that in bold?
But then,
it's always in bold. I take it back.
Then, can models set up in reserve cast spells or use abilities or command abilities?
No.
Dickhead.
Is that even a new one? Isn't that even? Is this old?
No, that's new. It's in magenta.
No, it's not.
Do
you want to know why this is? Do you want to know why this is the way it is? Do you want to know why this is the way it is? Yeah? 2 reasons. I'll give you them, clearly. America and Australia, polar opposites. Let me break it down for you. Yeah? Number 1, and this is really important, Australians are never going to ask for help. There's not a single one of those questions that's come from an Australian. Dan will admit it. He'll tell you right now, there's not a single Australian who think, I'll ask for help on this. No way. Yeah? None of them have come from Australia. Dan, back me up on this, yes or no?
No, as in, like, we would have a broken arm and someone would be like, you should go to the hospital. And you're like, no, I got this. They're like, with what? Your broken arm? And then you're like, yeah, I got another arm. They're like, both your arms are broken. They'd be like, yeah, well, I got 2 legs. So 50% still functional.
Yeah. All right. And then America, the US of A, have asked the rest of the questions. They're the only 2 groups of people playing. Yeah? Right? So, make of that statement what you will. That's all I can really say. I want to say a massive thank you to Quackstack, who says, still actually excited to be watching live. Long-time podcast listener. Stay hydrated, buddy. First time on stream. You guys have made a shitty FAQ better with your humour, so thanks, guys. And no point. All right, let's drop the facade for a bit, shall we? A little bit. So the FAQ obviously is like, the FAQ is obviously a shit show that's made no attempt to change internal or external balance. Actually, also the Nighthawk points have gone up, which is a hilarious change. Which kind of like ultimately is a little bit like, I don't know how you guys feel. Obviously, there's a couple of like key points. Number 1, very rare that many of us can play, yeah, but some of us can. Obviously, in England, like I can't even see anyone else, let alone go play a game of Warhammer. And we'll pretend that Games Workshop actively doesn't want to help people in the TTS community. Let's say that they're actively angry about it and they don't want to support Age of Sigmar in TTS. Let's at least say that, shall we? Yeah, right? They would be stupid not to take that data that's available to them from these games and use that, because obviously we've got another conversation in a minute about Age of Sigmar 3, whenever that does come, and if they don't even know where the game is at anyway now, when they come to do, everyone's like they're going to do points balances and updates when they do Age of Sigmar 3, like when they did the 40k relaunch. But if they've got no evidence or any information on how to base it from now, we're going to be in this even longer lag, which is super weird. But there are still people playing Age of Sigmar right now. New Zealand, Australia, maybe Norway. There's a couple of places, at least around the world, where they've either they've kicked the fuck out of the virus, or they've been really sensible with whatever they've done, or it's safe to people to play Warhammer, and they just haven't.
Wait, Rob, you missed the one there. Or they're ignoring it and it's going crazy.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Like some places they're like, virus? What virus? Everybody keep licking each other's eyeballs.
Yeah. So, like, I'm ignoring that. But, like, so there are genuinely there are communities.
Just like they are.
Yeah, exactly.
The big communities playing.
There are still communities playing, and surely they deserve support. Like, they did it for 40k, which is another. I don't want to be like, oh, my brother got a present, but I didn't get a present. Sort of a person, but like. You know, and I know who, like the guy on Twitter who every time I post about the FAQ is like, actually the Heresy hasn't had an update for 2 years. I don't know if you've heard about this. Like, I get it. Like, that sucks.
Well,
like
somebody likened the AOS, the 40k to being our big sister. Somebody said, no, they're more like the trophy wife. And then, and they're the ones that are getting all the stuff. Well, then surely the Heresy guys are more like the cuck in the trophy
situation. Oh my god, I want all of the game systems explained to me in BDSM terms as a whole show another day. Thanks, Dave. But yeah, there are still people playing, right? And what, like, Dan, I know you're not in a place where people are still playing, but a lot of your friends are, like, you know, the guys at the weekend are. And to be fair, Seraphon didn't do overly well at the weekend, but Australia's a fucking better anyway, so, like, who cares?
We have our own thing.
Yeah, I know. But what do you guys, James, what do you think? Like, if we were able to, let's say you and me were in Australia, right? Like, and we were able to play, build our armies, paint, you and me could go have a smashing weekend. Like, would you feel a bit, like, hard done by? like, you know, what would your feelings be? I think.
I think and we talked about, like, I had a little natter, didn't we, earlier? But like, I think for me the biggest thing is, like, I'm probably not the most competitive gamer. I probably don't play armies that are in the meta and normally have like a janky weird list. But I think for me, like, the worst bit of this whole thing is that for the last, I guess, 12 weeks, we've had random things where they're like, it's coming, an update's coming, an update's coming, your FAQ is coming. And I think, like, to the point where I even stopped painting the Skaven I was painting.
Yes.
And moved to a Lord of the Rings army to paint instead, because I was like, well, if they change the point of all the clan rats that are in that list and I can take more or less, I've then got a base and paint more or less. So I'm just going to wait. And I think that would be more annoying if we could go out into the world and play, because I'd have stopped painting an army and I think the most annoying bit for me is that what they've basically said today is we haven't done an update because there isn't enough data.
So that's been their statement, right? The statement was, we don't have enough data to do updates. But
so fine, but they knew that 12 weeks ago.
That's a good point. That's a point that Velatron made up there in the chat, didn't he? He said, stating the obvious, not happy with the points unchanged. The game's biggest faux pas is making everyone wait for a long time before coming out with this news. Had it been communicated in December, it would have been much better.
I think.
Yeah, well, I just think as well, like, England, so... and not picking on Dan, but like, I guess living in England, like, everyone knew in November that we were getting locked down for the whole of January. So Games Workshop, Games Workshop is a huge corporation. Like, their workers have probably been off more this year on furlough than they've been in an office. And the ones that work from home have probably worked from home. But they also know that they make a tabletop game with plastic models. They've sold a load, but no one's probably playing with them. Like, there must have been a point where some people in an office, like, I've worked from home for a year. Like, every week we have a meeting. So you'd think that the rules writers would have a weekly meeting, and there would have come a point where they'd have gone, iOS FAQ, can we do it?
Yeah.
No.
I honestly,
no,
there's a phrase that I've learned since I moved over here. I think it's American, and I love it. And it suits this situation perfectly for me. Shit or get off the pot.
Okay.
Like, either squirt one out and get the job done, or just stop pretending and get out of there so somebody else can use the toilet. Right? And that's what it feels like to me. It's like we neither have an FAQ, nor I actually would have respected if it was just like, hey, we're not doing one right now, and we love you, but we're not going to release an FAQ that isn't going to do anything, and we're not going to waste time putting together an arbitrary list of tiny changes that don't actually affect the game whatsoever. So we're going to hold off. And I would have gone, cool, that sucks, but all right, because the thing that I get excited for FAQs are the changes, and this changes absolutely nothing. And so I honestly would have preferred just to be told, hey, you're not getting it. And I would have been like, that sucks, but I get your stance. At the moment, this is not taking a stance. This is going, hey, we're both neither giving you an FAQ, nor are we saying you won't get one. So we're a bit wishy-washy in the middle. And
yeah, the thing is it's also not even like, it's not even non-communicative, because a lot of people in the chat saying communication is a problem here, which I agree with, but actually it's dishonesty. Like, it's just dishonest, I think, is the kind of key point. Like, I don't want to get too soapboxy, because like I think a lot of people will, and I would like to try and like get a positive message out. Like, yeah, like it's dishonest and it's unhelpful. Like, why's Nathan got to change his fucking base size? Who even put that information in? You know, is the kind of key point. Like, and some more open and honest with, like, there is everything in this community that we'd be willing to go to bat for them all the time, right? All the time. Like, you know, if they were just like, listen, lads, we haven't had time for everything, but we put Croak up to 400 points, crack on. We'd be like, do you know what? Fair enough. We're working from home. But there's some, like, you know, they're like, we're working from home. This is all we're going to do. These points are up. And you asked us this question about this KO thing. We sorted you out. No problem. You'd be like, fair enough. Like, that took you, what, 4 minutes? Like, just message someone on your phone and be like, hey, what do you want for tea? And when they go, pasta, that's how long that would have taken for them to answer that question. That amount of time. The problem that I have, and Dan touched on a little bit, is that they've made so much fucking money. Like, they've made so much money. And I talked about this on the show I did when I was talking about the narrative videos and everything else. These aren't there's not some corporate lad on Twitter, who's just like, oh, I've had to graft so hard today down the salt mine. We've only made £3. They made record profits. They could have doubled how much they paid everyone and then doubled the staff, and they still would have made profit. Like, I get that they're a company and their job is just to make money, but when their job to make money is taking the piss out of the community and then people front for it, it really winds me up. And I'm trying not to get wound up about it. Like, I'm not, because it's just pretty pathetic, ultimately. So, yeah. And that isn't the me that I want to be. Like, so I'm just trying to laugh my way through it. But it's pretty embarrassing. All the way around as a games company. I think the whole thing's pretty embarrassing, is all I can say. Yeah.
I think I'm going to just highlight it because I saw it, and I think probably it is something we should maybe talk about. You might disagree. So I noticed somewhere earlier in the chat, Coots said the Warcom team actually have no information, so all they can say it's coming. I mean, they might not, they might do, but like, I almost feel like actually it's probably not. It's never going to be the fault, is it? We all know it's never the fault of that person who's writing on Twitter that actually that they made that decision. But I just think, like, as a company that made record money, like, it's made BBC News all the news all the time. Like, I just think there was a point, wasn't there, where someone should have gone, yeah, we ain't going to do this. Like, they've known. There's either data or there's no data. They didn't wake up this morning and go, oh, we wanted one more battle with KO in.
If only we'd had 8 more games.
We've been waiting for those 12 games. Like, it's been a year. It's been a fucking year of us not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't one more game. They knew in April.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So
can I add something to this?
Yeah, please do.
The dumpster fire that is this conversation right now. And all it is it's 2 super quick things. The first is that what this points out is how important communication is. I remember living in Brisbane in Australia and Sydney in Australia. When you're in Brisbane, your train either comes 10 minutes early, 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, or just doesn't show up at all. And you see a train station full of furious people because they're late to get home or get to work or go on dates or do whatever the hell it is. They're going to miss their movie. Then when you get into Sydney, your train is 2 minutes late and a voice comes over the intercom and is like, ladies and gentlemen, we're very sorry about the delay. There was a signal problem 2 tracks up the line. Your train is on the way, but it will be 5 more minutes. And even though people are still late, they chill out because they know. They know what's going on. They're looped in and they understand. And that's what I feel like I missed here. I missed any communication. And the reason that matters, the reason that communication is important to people is that that's how you kind of manage those expectations. Because I wouldn't have minded if I wasn't going to get it. I would have been fine. But when you take... Yeah, I would have been fine if it was like, you get nothing. I'd be like, I'm actually super okay with that. But on top of that, on that communication thing, the people whose job it is to communicate to you, they also don't get communicated, just like James. It's like going into a restaurant and screaming at your server because you don't like how the business is run. You are literally yelling at the bottom of the food chain about a decision made by someone in a corporate office 6 states away. So please, I beg of you.
Yeah, the guys in the shop. There are other people who directly you can communicate with who are responsible, but like that's a different conversation. I hear what you're saying.
On social media, I'm just saying, be sassy. I am never going to tell people not to be sassy and scathing and biting, but don't be personal because remember, we're all still human beings and human beings fuck up. I mean, I played elves. And I would never want any of you in the chat listening to the podcast, Stay Hydrated, or on Twitter to ever stop flagellating me for playing elves.
Yeah.
However,
you can get personal with Dan all the time.
But just don't go after my mum, basically.
Do you know what
'cause
also
she's
is
scary.
important?
She'll take you down.
Go
All
on,
of her
James.
Well,
makeup is tattooed on, and she
While
drives
we're
a
on the
motorbike.
point of Dan playing elves, it is
Yeah.
also really important that we remember that we tag him in every Liberator and elf picture we find on
That you see
Twitter
on Twitter.
every
Agreed.
day.
And also,
24
if
hours a
anyone
day.
has their Mork's Mighty Mushroom and wants to tag Nathan Prescott on it on Twitter, please do that as well.
Or just anything 5 mils.
Yeah, anything 5 mils, that'd be perfect. Nathan, what do you think about this? Because I know sometimes you don't give a shit, but you got any feelings about these like GHB's winter updates?
It was a bit of a piss take by them, I think, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, maybe they didn't have data, whatever. I don't have data about them not having data, whatever. I don't care. There are plenty of other things they could have done, and they could have just refreshed, like Dan said somewhere earlier in the show. It just to freshen stuff up, just go through it and change stuff, just make life a bit more happy for people, and don't fucking change the size of bloody bases that you sold us, you bunch of twats.
Right, so I think I have a positive note on this, because I have been trying, for me at least, over the past, if you guys have been listening to me a long time, and some of you have been and some of you are new, there's been all sorts of genuine vile anger coming out of me, and it's just who I am as a person. I'm an emotive person. I'm not going to apologize for it, but I'd like to change up a gear. Yeah, because
you
it's
cuddle big, but you cuddle big, but you rage big.
Yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a swinger. But the thing I'd like to talk about, I think, is the thing I'd like to talk about, obviously, is the community, right? And actually, this isn't the rage of destroying the old world and bringing the new world in or whatever, right? But this is on the back of changeos being for months. And remember that Winter FAQ where they didn't change Daughters of Cain when they're an 80% win rate? Games Workshop are bad at managing their game and their community on almost every front. But that's really okay, because they've never been good at it. This isn't a worse situation. This is fine. This is it's not like someone's gone, hey Rob, rings me and gone, hey Rob, FAQ's out, and they've actually done a fucking smashing job, really. They've been really clear. They've done a couple of videos where people are explaining stuff. They've shown some data with it, and you're like, fucking Christ, on a bike. And then the next one, they just say Wild Riders can move 2 less inches if they got shields. Very different kind of vibes. They've always been terrible. Always. Their communication is dishonest. They only care about sales. But that isn't important. And let me tell you why. Because the community is fantastic. I've done nothing but laugh with you 3 chuckleheads, yeah, and all these people in the chat for 2 hours, right? The podcast guys at home, we've had nothing but a laugh. And tomorrow we'll continue on. Painting models is wicked. Yeah, Nathan's painting some up now. I'm super excited about that vampire dude. Maybe his rules are super shit. Who knows? But I'm just going to say, I staked you. And when they blew up Warhammer Fantasy Battle and they made Age of Sigmar, it was a shit show. But there was loads of people trying to make it work, right? When Vanguard Wing was a thing, it was a shit show, but people tried to make it work. Daughters of Cain was a shit show, and we made it work. They continuously do shitty things, but the community not only makes it work, has got bigger and better. Bigger events, more jokes, more videos, more in-jokes. The Twitter community is even stronger. The Facebook community is full of absolute monsters who terrify me, and I never want to go there again. But do you know what I mean? So a good example would be James. James is at Bobo, not last year, the year before, right? At that point, was Sequiturs a thing? I can't remember what was the... No, I think it was Sinesh and...
Sequiturs were a thing for Crim Bobo.
Yeah. So it was Sinesh and something else, right? But that and Skaven in blocks of 9 were brought over by the Irish and all sorts of stuff. And you can triple Death Frenzy Plague Monks, and they hadn't had their FAQ yet. And it was just a nightmare. It was just the worst games rules ever, and just people launching them at each other and fucking chuckling. And James is there with a bugle, fucking screaming and running around with a bunch of people pretending to be Bretonian knights. At the same time, though, while he's doing that, all the competitive players are really tight in these super tight games. There's awesome mirror matches. It's a great... I know I'm getting on a soapbox here, but my point is the community in the games are fucking hilarious. And sometimes the game's busted, and probably the game's always going to be busted because it's run by idiots. But it's a fucking fun time along the way. And that's all I got to say on it. That's my kind of thoughts. Like, let's just have a good time. Because, like Dan says, let's get sassy. Like, it's all about that now. Because we can take the piss. Like, if there's a community of creative taking the piss people, welcome to the fucking team. Like,
and I think the big takeaway from me from this is like, there's however many, there's a couple of hundred people on Twitch, however many people on all of the other social pipes watching along too. That's how we've been here for coming up on 2.5 hours, just talking about this series of documents with tiny changes to it, which is because we care. And the reason we care is because we love it, right? So it's not like no one is going to read this FAQ, throw their models in the bin, set them on fire and be like, I'm not playing anymore. This sucks. I'm dead. It's dead to me. Like, it's because we care and we wish it could be this big, like mecca that we dream of it being. But it's more that we're sad that the thing we care about wasn't perfect. But I like you said, Rob, I'm not going to stop playing. I'm not going to stop carving up elves and covering them with skeletons.
You don't have to. You also don't have to stop complaining as well. Like, if you're like, I'm going to fucking complain, you go for it. Like, I hear you. But like, why is my army not doing? Like, Beast of Chaos players, like, why don't you update my army one time? And they're like, lol jokes, no. But like, I don't really know how to help you in that situation. We aren't chasing perfection, says Hazewo. We're chasing a college try. At this point, I don't even want to chase perfection. I'd be willing to chase a boy doing a paper round, just giving it a go. Like, that's pretty much all I expect them to be able to do. Also, go on.
Oh, I was going to say, if someone stabs you with a fork, but you love them, you're like, hey, can you not do that again? It's not changing the fact that I love you, but please stop stabbing me with a fork. If they upgrade the fork to a trident, then you might start to consider things. But at the moment, we're just getting little fork stabs, and I'm like, hey, I'd love it if you do better. Like, fork for food, not for my ribs.
Can I also just thank in the chat? I wasn't sure who asked the question, although someone brought up the 9-inch carrot measurers by Tuggy, which is still a hilarious moment. I think it was Desert Sketch. Desert Sketch asked Dynock, who Nathan, as I told you, does all the TTS maps, if he could change one particular endless spell a certain size, and Dynock said, yeah, he'll do that right now. He's on it right now. So that's being changed. TTS.
Oh, also, can they call that the Nathan Prescott update?
Yeah, please do.
And on it, can it just have like a sun-belted edge, so it's not even smooth? The model doesn't sit flat anymore.
Also, Dynock, if you ever wanted to make a board that was just called and uploaded to TTS called the Nathan Prescott board that was just full of mushrooms, oh my god, you get that to see a lot of play. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty shit. Right, everyone in the chat, what have you got to say? I want to hear everyone's thoughts and feelings on it before we head out. Like, has anyone got any like questions or anything big that they want to say? I can't thank everyone for joining us enough. You three, is there anything you think that's been unsaid that you'd like to kind of get out about the releases at the weekend or anything?
So I got two quick things. First of all, RestreamBot, good to have you in the chat. Lovely that you never abandon us. And also, quick shout out to the people that keep atting RestreamBot, not realizing that RestreamBot is just posting the comments of people on other social media pipes. Someone pointed out that in the Nighthaunt update, Reichner, the Guardian of Souls, Hexwraiths, and Harridans all went up by 10 points.
Mm-hmm. The only points changes in the game. What they actually just did is they uploaded the old points from before the GHP.
Which is just nuts.
Because they don't have the stars. That's the thing. Anyway, yeah. So we missed that. We missed that Nighthaunt got worse.
We did miss that. Anyone else? I mean, a lot of people saying I'm not disappointed, I'm sad. I'd like to also not leave them alone. Like, Games Workshop have done a terribly shit job. Like, I want to make this crystal clear that in all the piss taking, they're an awful company who do a terrible job, but they make a game that I super love. Awesome models, yeah, some cool books. They love books, and some sweet kick-ass things. So, like, really in love with those things.
As shitty as I might be about the Lumineths getting new stuff coming in afterwards, after I've already bought the limited edition book and bought an army and put it together, there's new stuff coming and a new book that I need within 6 months of the previous release. Seeing those new models and like knowing that there's new things I can do with my army and new stuff I can build, I'm just like, ooh, harder daddy. Like I'm okay with that. And I hate that I'm okay with it. Like it's this self-flagellating moment of being like, you know what? Yeah, that's it. You've got my number. You're like, you're a little bitch and you're going to buy him no matter what. And you're going to love him. And I'm like, yeah, I am, but I'm going to hate myself for it.
James, you got anything to add?
Oh, wow. Do you know what? I just got thrown because someone's clipped Nathan measuring his base. And that was like the highlight of my night. And I want that. I almost want that moment when Nathan's like, fuck, as my ringtone, like it was the early noughties again. I don't think honestly, I don't think I have anything to add. I think it's what I expect.
Okay, that's fair. That's super fair. Nathan, any kind of final thoughts? Anything you want to bring up?
They keep fucking me on bases. They just need to calm the fuck down.
They do keep fucking you on bases, buddy. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, it's pretty shit. I completely hear you about that.
Fucking wankers. Anyway. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you can't expect... I don't know. That was less than I expected. I didn't expect much, but that was less than I expected. That's for sure.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, no, I understand. I don't think it's particularly good. I think we need to understand that as a community, we have a lot more power than we think, and these kind of decisions are more mid-management decisions, because if the stakeholders would understand or be aware what's happening between the community and the consumers, decision makers would change something or it's open. I mean, there's loads that I'd like to talk about in the future. I think one of the things that Games Workshop has at the moment, obviously, is a huge market share. I mean, honestly, I could do a whole video on this, so I don't kind of want to end on this. We're all invested in the community and the hobby. The game's great, even though it's imbalanced in loads of places. But something Games Workshop should be aware of is making sure that they manage their community well. Because if you don't manage your community well, I mean, I don't want to lose friends who leave the hobby. Not but lose friends in that way. I don't want to lose friends who leave the hobby and lose this kind of shared thing that we have. I could go on about it for ages. I'm not going to bother. I think they're up shit creek without a paddle with 3D printing in the next 2 years. I'm just going to say it right now. We'll come back to that conversation another day. But really start sorting your shit out and talking to your community better, because we don't need you. It's as simple as that. Everything you do is freely available, and I'll leave that conversation there. I think is fine. All right, you guys are all brilliant. Thanks very much. Because we've got so many of you watching, which is super nice. Let's try and move that positivity forward today, and let's push it into raiding someone, which is something we don't always do. Because there's someone who's Spanish, so he's going to be Spanish. Who is painting right now? But Nathan, it looks like
is this the guy?
He's painting. No, this isn't the guy. It looks like he's painting Shroom. Spiker. Who's the guy? Who's the Gobblepalooza on the mushroom?
Oh wow!
Oh, Shroomancer.
Shroomancer. So we're gonna go raid him. He's only got 30 people watching. So if we go raid him, then. That'll be super. He'll be super happy about that. I just want to thank everyone for listening live. Everyone who supports the Small Game on Patreon, who listens to the podcast, who supports us via Twitch or donates money. You're all great, and thank you. And thank you to my co-hosts. All three of you are brilliant. Thanks for going through this journey with me today. You're all great. Okay. So
pleasure.
Cheers.
Love you, beautiful boys and beautiful girls in the chat.
Did I click it? Did it work?
Yeah, it's raiding. We're raiding.
Let's go, boys. Let's go. I'm going to go get this guy's Twitch up because it's going to be funny. You're all brilliant. See you guys soon. Have a nice day.